Welcome to the Cherry Picker, the horror movie podcast where we like to kill people, but not really. I'm your host, Zach Cherry. Joining me today, and I mean every week is
Tim from Tim McKay Beauty.
I'm still trying to work on that transition of like how to. It's just like you're always here now.
Yeah,
Um,
now it is. But I mean, you usually say as always, but I mean, I guess it's a new always.
as
So
always, as the new
yeah,
normal,
the
we've
new
got,
norm.
we've got Tim McKay
Very
from Tim
happy to be
McKay
here.
Beauty. I'm
Yes.
I'm happy for you to be here. I'm happy for everybody to be here who is in the chat right now, and I'm happy that we've got a new Scream movie and we got a lots to say about it. So it's finally upon us. Scream 7 released February 27th, 2026. This has been I guess 3 years in the making now. Last one came out in 2023, and we've been covering every Scream movie for the last 2 months up to this moment. Tim, was it
hmm
everything you imagined it would be and more?
It it's even better. It's even more. I mean, it definitely is harder to talk about. Like, I guess like as we got further into the films, like 5 and 6, I was excited to talk about something new, like Scream 7. So it definitely
Yeah,
but so the road to get here was a fun one, you know?
absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. We've been talking about the same six movies for so long now, so it's good to have some new content. And
Exactly.
I think you said that you saw this twice over the weekend, right?
I did. I saw it twice, and I feel like this movie was one you had to see twice. Well, in my case anyway, I had to see it twice.
Yeah. I also saw it twice. I'm just gonna state it right now. I mean, it's a given, but spoilers for
Yeah,
Scream 7.
spoilers ahead. Some
We're gonna
wild
be talking
spoilers.
we're gonna be talking about it. Like there's just everything is a spoiler right now. So
Yeah, we just
I
expect that you all went immediately to see this movie.
and I think a lot of people did. I mean it made worldwide $97 million. So people
Yeah.
saw it.
Yeah.
Um I also saw it twice and I agree with you that you need to see it twice. I needed to see it twice because
Yes.
I absolutely hated it on the first
Yeah.
watch. And I think that's
hmm
because I needed to I needed to see like the flaws. I needed to kind of reconcile with those aspects of the movie that aren't good. And then on the second watch through, it was kind of like I can just enjoy everything else about it. And for the most part, it's really good. It's just like the last act is where I think things really fall apart, and especially with the killer reveal and the scheme and the motive and all that. Like it's not great. It's probably, in my opinion, the worst of the franchise.
So I think I felt that way. I was upset. You know, I sent
Mhm.
you that gif of Britney Spears, that awkward gif where she's just like,
Oh,
because
is it like yeah, yeah.
yeah, the shy one, like the awkward. I was like, I sent you that immediately, and then I deleted it immediately. I unsent it because I was like, shoot, Zach is 2 hours behind me, so I didn't know if you were still in the movie. I didn't know if you had like just gotten it or what time, whatever.
Yeah.
So I unsent it, and then I waited a few hours, and I love that you texted me and you're like, what did you send? So I sent it again because I was like, yeah, that just was so bad. And then I was so grateful seeing it the second time because it completely changed how I felt about it. And we can go
Yeah.
into full details for why that is. But
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you like? Okay, I don't usually do this very much, but like, what would you score? Like, what's your letterboxd score for it?
Ooh. Still new to Letterboxd. Is that 1 to 5?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would give this a 2.5.
Oh, wow. Okay. I would actually give it a three.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I just think it's middle of the road. I think it's right in the middle. Maybe it'll grow to a 3 for me, but right now I'd say 2.5.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
got to speak your truth.
Yeah.
Where does it rank for you?
So I thought about this. I would do
Yeah.
2, 1, 4, 3, 7, 6, 5.
Okay. So you like it
Yeah.
better than the last two.
Yeah, I think I'm just not the biggest fan of the Carpenter sisters. I love the actresses. I just like their pathway, and especially if they were going to go with Sam becoming a killer, I just wasn't the biggest fan of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm a little grateful that we went into a back in the Nev Campbell route into a different direction.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still kind of like figuring it out because the thing with like every Scream movie, except for one and two for me, because I think that those are perfect.
Yep.
But from three onwards, like every single one of those movies has like a fatal flaw. And it could be
Hmm.
something where like it's really bad in that movie, but it might be really good in like the next sequel or the one after that. I actually think this is a reversal of Scream 4, whereas in that movie, the Sydney of it all was like really weak, but the killers and like the motive and the scheme and how that all kind of like unfolded and was just sort of thematically threaded through the movie is
Hmm.
some of the best. So here, I feel like all of the Sydney stuff is really strong, and then the killer stuff is really weak. So it's like a complete reversal. Um, but right now, I would probably put my ranking 2, 1,
Hmm.
3, 4, 7, 5, 6.
Okay, so we switched 4 and 3 and 5 and 6.
Yes, but
Cool.
I'm in agreement with you in a sense that I'm I just it's not that I don't like the Carpenter sisters. I just don't think that they were very well written. And I don't think that like from 5 to 6 there wasn't really much different. Like we talked about this when we covered Scream 6 in the sense that all it was Tara in 5 was, like pissed off that Sam left her life, and then in 6 it was like, well, now you're in my life too much. And it felt
Hmm.
like all of the beats with Sam and just in terms of like her darkness were just like it did the same thing over. Nothing new came of it.
Hmm.
And I put this thing on Twitter because a lot of people were saying that Scream 6 was the perfect ending to the franchise and for like Sam as a character because she throws away the mask and it's
Hmm.
like no, it's the Judge Judy analogy of like you ate the steak. You like that's the thing. It's like her character the entire trajectory was like flirting with the darkness that was inside of her. She didn't like it. Like she went to therapy. She wanted to like try to deal with it. But then at the very end, like even like despite her protests with like Bailey telling her like claim your birthright, put on the mask, etc. and so forth, she ends up doing it and then like murders him like viciously when she didn't have to because he was passed out. So it's like the the idea of that is like you went like whole hog. You like fully disappeared into like the darkness and then like at the writer's convenience, they're just like, okay, I'm done with this now. I'm just gonna throw away the mask. And it's like, no, like that's
Hmm.
like there's like psychological ramifications for that. And I don't think that a Scream 7, like I would love to see that movie of Sam and Tara, because like Tara's kind of complicit in that too, but I would love to see that movie of seven of the two of them and like where do they go from there? But the way that the writers were treating that moment of just sort of this girl boss moment of her like doing that and
Yeah.
then throwing the mask away, I knew that like nothing they did with them in seven, it was just going to be the same shit over. So
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy to like get Nev back and it just in terms of like seeing where she's kind of like evolved from because we haven't really seen her since three because four is just sort of like I don't think that there's any transformation with her character in four and then five she was just kind of a cameo. So
Yeah, in 4, I felt like she was just kind of there. Like she felt very like sweet and kind in 4 and kind of like warm, fuzzy vibes. But
yeah.
yeah, she wasn't fully there. She wasn't like locked in on 4. I feel like she was just there for because Wes asked her to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
I want to see there's people were saying their rankings here. I just wanted to go through
yeah, I was
them.
seeing those.
Okay, so Adrian is saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 5, 6.
Mm-hmm.
Abandon oh 06, aka Garrison. I know that's you. 2, 3, 1, 6, 7, 5, 4. Davy B. Jones, 1, 2, 4, 5, 3, 7, 6. Brian James Tube 127 5 4 6 3. Bill Caitlin 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 5, 6. And Sarah Campbell 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 5. 6. So,
Okay. So it was no
yeah.
one's, so I don't think it was anyone's least favorite, right? I think,
Uh, well, I got Amethyst here as well. 1, 2, 4, 5, 3, 6. But then he says he doesn't feel ready to play 7. So,
okay.
you know.
That's fine. That's totally
Hmm.
valid. You might have to see it again. Um, I don't know if you saw it twice, Amethyst, but I know we had to.
Hmm. There's definitely a lot of like discourse online right now of just people saying this is the worst
The
Scream movie. Like
worst.
people are crashing out in like the most dramatic way possible. And I mean, everyone, like obviously we all have our opinions. There are 7 movies in this franchise. Like I don't know like what the permutations would be like of just like every kind of different combination of like a ranking or ordering of the movies. Like no one's ranking is going to be exactly alike. It's like, and when you get to like the Halloween franchises where there's 13 movies, like even less so.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that it's new. Every time a Scream movie comes out, people kind of hate on it or find like things that they don't like necessarily. And then like given time, they eventually kind of refine their feelings or adjust it and just like understand like what exactly it is that they don't like and maybe what they do like.
Yeah, like I think especially when I saw 4 for the first time, like I don't think I was a huge fan of 4. Now I love 4. Now Jill is like my
Hmm.
favorite. Like I love it so much. But I remember when I first saw it, I wasn't a fan of the multiple endings. I wasn't a fan of the multiple beginnings, like openings. So
Yeah.
so they tried something different in that movie too, and now over time I love it. So it's just kind of, in this movie they did something a little different with the motive. We can get into the motive later, um but yeah, so but it did. I think I'm actually, and to be honest, if we weren't doing this right now, if we weren't doing the cherry picker right now,
It's
um
huge. What are you talking
if we weren't
about?
doing this huge, no, I would be at the movies right now. I would like to see it a third time
A
for
third time,
sure.
wow. I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind seeing it again.
Yeah, I would like
Yeah.
to for sure. And the first theater experience I had was a packed theater that was on Thursday.
Hmm.
Packed theater. Everyone was so lively. Everyone was like every joke, every like, cheer moment. But then I saw it again on Saturday and it wasn't packed. It was like a half full or whatever, but the everyone was still like
Yeah.
laughing along with it, cheering along with it. Um some people were like gooped and gagged at certain parts and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well." But I definitely was having fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, same experience. I saw it AVX on Thursday and I had to go like way out to the northeast because like I guess like the way that the movie theaters do it now is that
Hmm.
they sort of only show it in like the specialty screens. Like there was like Screen X, which I've talked about before that I hate.
Yes. You hate
And
that one.
4DX, like I don't want to like be swishing around in my seat and getting mist in my face. Like
Hmm.
so this one theater was the only one that was like normal. And it was yeah, it was crazy. Like people were cheering. Like when Gale came out, like that was a big
Oh, of
moment.
course. That was the moment. Yeah. Hmm.
The one that was like hilarious when like the killer was unmasked at like at the end, like the first dude, Marco is the character's
Yeah.
name. Someone like called out really loud, like, "Who's that?" Which
Yeah.
I just thought was hilarious. But yeah, it was a
Well,
very
especially
lively
the
crowd.
first
Yeah,
guy, especially the first guy, the first Ghostface. Even seeing the
yeah,
movie twice, I was like, wait, I forgot to look for him. I remember seeing the movie the first time and I was like, who's that? And then
yeah.
going into the second time, I was like, okay, look for him, look for him, look for him.
Yeah.
Completely forgot. I was like, oh my God, he doesn't stand out
He's
at all.
yeah, he's well they give him a moment. He's Carl in the coffee shop and we see
Does
his
he
name
talk
on
in the
the
coffee
cup.
shop?
No, he has no dialogue at all.
Okay, so
Yeah.
real mysterious, like real background character, like what is it called? Glorified extra.
I think that that was sort of like the pandering to the fans who've always kind of said like they should do a thing where they like reveal a killer halfway through or like a killer is like dies halfway through and then like the rest of the movie we find out like there's another killer or whatever.
Yeah,
And
like
they try to have their
yes,
cake and eat it too. And I think in a world that could be pulled off very successfully, but like you have to make that character a character.
yeah.
Um,
But I did like that Sydney said this was too easy. Like I'm glad that Sydney knew that that was too easy and that that wasn't the
mhm.
end. So that kind of got me excited because I was like, where's this movie gonna go?
I'm I'm
Yeah,
glad that Sydney was smart. It was refreshing to finally see. a character not make stupid decisions like we saw in 5 and 6 with
Yeah.
Sam and Tara. I mean, like we'll get to like the stupid decisions in this movie, but
Yes,
at least
there
for
was a
like our
couple.
our lead, like she had the moment where she runs into the theater. Because I was thinking, like I was remembering like the Gale scene in Scream 6 where Sam comes in, picks up the gun, and then readies it, like aims it at the killer and says, "Hey, fuck face," or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
then waits to like get alert them. And in this scene in particular, when Sydney comes bursting into the theater, she's just like, "Motherfucker!" But she's got the gun like already trained on the killer, so it's not like she's like hesitating or like alerting him because like she made a noise when she came in, like so anyone would
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Um, but one thing before we get into like the housekeeping and the premise, I saw a tweet online that was comparing Scream 7 to I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025, saying
Uh,
that I Know What You Did Last Summer was a better movie. I'm just
nope.
curious what your
Nope.
opinion.
Nope. 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 And as much as I didn't even like this movie the first time I watched it because I was so let down, and we can get
Yeah.
into like why I felt let down by it. I did not feel the guttural, the the depression, the deflation, I don't know, the
Hmm.
darkness, the depth of darkness that I felt. Talk about out of darkness, that I needed to write a book after I saw I Knew You Did Last Summer, 2025.
Into
Because
darkness.
yeah, no, that was like in my process getting out of darkness because I was so depressed by that movie. This one was not that at all. I really think that, Kevin Williamson has a lot of room to grow, but I liked the vibe he gave this movie. I really loved
Mhm.
the spook. He really gave it like a spooky vibe, and we can get more into that, but I
Yeah.
loved that. Whereas there was no vibe, and I know you did
Mhm.
last summer. It was all like Fleur. Like I that was the vibe of I know you did last summer 2025 was Fleur. Like and I
And what
and I
was
hated it.
Fleur? And it was like
It was a
her.
stupid joke, and I've heard that same joke now on a few different things where it's like, "Oh, what about Fleur?" And I'm like, "We can't get no, nope,
It's
shut
like
it
her
off."
spiritualist or something.
Yeah, he was like some kind of like spiritualist. Yeah, literally. I don't know, some
Yeah.
kind of Reiki, maybe a Reiki thing, I
Yeah.
think. But whatever. It was supposed to be funny and it wasn't. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. So, well,
yeah,
let's get into the housekeeping here. So,
let's do it.
hey, if you have been watching slash listening to the Cherry Picker for a while, or if you're brand new here, there's a way you can give back and help keep this engine running. So if you head over to my Patreon account at patreon.com/ZackCherry, links are going to be, all around. Then there's lots of fun bonuses and benefits you can get from that. So if you are on the Freddy Krueger tier, you can join us every Monday as we record these live streams of our episodes. So everyone in the chat right now is part of that, and it's a very lively chat. We're gonna get to a lot of
Woo.
questions and comments here as we go along. But aside from that, you also get to nominate and vote for the last episode that we cover every month. So whatever movie or topic that ends up being, that is completely up to the Patreon supporters. So that's real fun. And there's other benefits too, like monthly reviews. We've also got live video calls with myself and shout outs as well. So I would like to shout out a few really awesome people right now. So thank you very much to, firstly, my Michael Myers tier, Kyle Beard, Sam Levy, Ellie Hamouche, Shane Ellingham, Tim McKay,
Hey.
Horror Slut 95, Austin Hall, Final Girl, Gemma, Billy's mother, which I can only ever do in Chucky's voice.
Only.
Cara Day, Michael Boswell, Defcon, Michelle Hughes, and then Ghost Faces. Thank you very much to Eric Champney, Daniel Saturn, Stephanie Starbright, Baby Ghoul, Garrison Nichols, Craig Lynn, Josh Burrow, who really wanted to be here tonight but couldn't. So just a
Oh.
special shout out to Josh. And then welcome back to Brian James. So thank you very much to all of y'all. Uh, Tim, you got a premise?
Oh, I do.
Mm.
In the seventh chapter of the iconic slasher franchise, Sidney Prescott is back in the spotlight years after she tried to build a normal life with her family. But when a new Ghostface killer emerges in the quiet town where she now lives, Sidney's darkest fears are realized as the murderous terror targets her teenage daughter, forcing her to confront her horrors of her past and protect her family in one final, terrifying showdown in Scream 7.
Do, do, do. Um, Opening scene.
Okay,
I really
yes.
liked this. I think this is probably one of the strongest opening scenes. Like I've always thought one and two were the best, and they
Mm-hmm.
they are obviously
Hmm.
for me,
Yes.
but also objectively. The opening scene to three I know is like it can be considered kind of pedestrian, but I still love the way that it's directed, acted, edited, the cinematography, like everything about it is just like a really nice little like short film in and of itself. So I've always kind of, or at least like lately, I've gravitated towards that, and I think because it is still contextual with the rest of the movie. But after that, I would say that this is probably the strongest opening scene.
And is part of that because they didn't do what you hate, which is Ghostface slashing the camera and then that being the opening title? Because I noticed that they did not do that and it
Yeah.
worked and it was really good that they didn't do it.
Yeah, a little bit. There's still, I wish that they had maybe done something a little bit different. And we can get to that. But yeah,
Hmm.
I like that it didn't do that like slash into the camera thing. I think that like that's just a cliche that is just needs to end.
Hmm.
But I think mostly what I liked about it is that it was very moody and atmospheric. Like this is clearly a soundstage again.
Hmm.
But it doesn't feel like it. It
I
doesn't
didn't
feel
know it
like it.
was the first
Yeah.
time. I wasn't sure the first watch. They film at the real location or at least the establishing shot. Well, I wasn't sure,
Well,
but
because the
I don't think it
establishing
is.
shot
It's
is
not.
sort of like because we just see the car driving down the road and we see like the wilderness in the background, but it looks realistic. Like I couldn't tell that it was on a soundstage. I love what the music is doing,
Hmm.
and they kind of like pull up in front of the house. And the thing is, like I feel the isolation, I feel the environment around us. Whereas like what they did in Scream 5 with that set, if everything was so like boxed in and up close that
Yes.
I never got the sense that like we were in the middle of nowhere. It felt exactly like what it was, especially in that final shot of the movie where we hover over the house and we can so very much tell that this is a soundstage.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see that, and I feel that even within the house, the cinematography was making such better use of the space. Like we were kind of further away from things. There was like a scope where we would see like through the doorway the ghost face animatronic slash eventual killer standing there the whole time. So it was like it always felt like
Hmm.
you could see parts of the house through the house, which felt very akin to the first movie when we were in the Mocker house.
I agree, and actually, the animatronic is reminding me of the ghost face that's right behind you. I know
Oh
that
yeah.
on Patreon, I don't think anyone can see it because it's cut out, but there is a life-size ghost face behind Zack, and
Yeah.
it looks very much like the animatronic in the movie.
I was
Um,
actually like a couple times over the weekend, like just checking just to see like, is it still the mannequin?
you
Yeah.
go up in front of it, move your hand in front of it.
Yeah.
No, I actually loved the actors from the intro, from the opening scene. I
Mhm.
forgot to write their names down, but
Scott and Madison.
I love them both. She's
Yeah.
stunning and he's gorgeous and he was really funny, but not in like an annoying way. They were a very believable couple. You know, like one that like he's super into it and she's kind of over it and thinks it's cringe
Yeah.
um and so I really liked it. Of course, I don't know wardrobe. I think it makes sense. I think their wardrobe makes sense. Do I
Yeah.
wish that she was in something a little bit sexier? Of course, because that's just the kind of guy that I am. But whatever. So, but I liked her. I liked their personalities a lot, and I liked the slowness of it, and I liked the difference of it. It was there was a phone call, but it was kind of a joke phone call, and so and then
Are
it
you
was
talking
like,
about the I guess like the owner of the Airbnb
yeah,
or
which
yeah.
I'm wondering, did that sound like Kevin Williamson to you?
I'm
I
not
I kind
sure.
of I was wondering if that was like because he had almost like a little bit of a that Kevin Williamson drawl. So I was wondering if that was Kevin Williamson with like
Hmm.
a an actual like voice changer. But maybe not.
Yeah.
But so I
I'll,
thought that was good.
yeah. I just wanted to also mention. So Brian is just pointing out that mention how Stu was at Windsor College. I guess this is the podcast that they're listening to when they drive up.
Mhm.
Stu mentioned that Stu was at Windsor College, which is acknowledging how Matt was on the set of Scream 2 in the background during the party scene.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's almost like I
Hmm.
guess that was
Hmm.
sort of tying into the idea of like, is Stu still alive? And just sort of like referencing this Easter egg. Um, uh, uh, I think that, and this has been said a lot too, is that the opening scene, like I guess one of the things that's not doesn't work about it is that it really is disconnected from the rest of the movie. It's kind of like these
Yeah.
characters are completely irrelevant from anything to do with Sydney or what's happening in Pine Grove, Indiana. And no, it's never really referenced. I think at one point like one of the deputies is like, "Oh, you wouldn't believe what happened in Woodsboro last night," and then it's interrupted because like, well, never mind, the ghost face is here, and they're sort of like I think Stu on the phone or the AI Stu says. Like, oh, I was in Woodsboro last night, et cetera, and so forth. But it's never really kind of connected in a way that affects the plot. It feels more like it's being done for the audience. Like it's sort of like
Totally.
this idea that Stu is still alive, and it's like I wish that it had been something that was more connected to like for the characters to discover rather than just be this like wink at the audience kind of thing of how they do it.
And if they're trying to sell that Stu is the killer, why would Stu want to burn down his own house? Like
Hmm.
that doesn't make sense to me. And then the fact that he's like, I'm gonna burn it all down. Like, what? Your old house? Like I like
Yeah.
why are you gonna do that? That's not like really helping your cause. I mean, that's not really doing much of anything. Um,
Yeah.
I just yeah, and we can get into the stew of it all in this movie too.
Oh, we will.
But
I
oh,
was
we
like
will.
thinking like if the killer had been his sister, Leslie Mocker,
Yes.
then maybe like her burning down the house, like if they owned it, because like who even knows who owns it at this point? Like she would like collect on some like insurance money, and that's why she would do it. And like let's just say that Anna Camp's character was Leslie Mocker, and then at
Yes.
the
I
end
wish
she could
she
be like,
was.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a point in the movie where because was like, oh, so do you think Stu is still alive and doing this? And Sydney says, and this is probably like the most meta thing of the movie. Sydney says that would be the better story. And like especially on the second time noticing that, I'm like, yeah, I kind of wish that the killer was just Stu. Even as bad as that probably would, and like as polarizing as it would be, I think that it would have brought everything together in a way that people would have felt satisfied. They also would have like been like, well, this doesn't make any sense, but at least it would have if it would have felt like connected and earned.
I guess so. I guess I wasn't the biggest fan of Matthew Lillard's performance in this, and I'm sorry to everybody. I know that might like I'll rub everybody the wrong way, because I know everyone loves Matthew Lillard, everyone loves
Yeah.
Stu, but I found every single moment of Lillard in this movie to be cringe. Like I felt every single time that he was on camera, like he
Mhm.
was, and I feel like that about a lot of these actors. That's one of my negatives that we can get into later, but like I feel like sometimes as actors age, and it's fine, we all age, I feel like as people, as we age, we get a little bit more eccentric. And I feel like um, subtlety is lost a little bit. And so I kind of felt like that with like a lot of the characters. Like I felt like that with Gale a little bit. And like I felt like that with Anna Camp. Like I feel like there was just no subtlety. I feel like I wish there was a little bit more subtlety in that. And I felt like that with
Mm.
Matthew Lillard. Like there was no subtlety as to it. Was just the whole time it was like, oh hey, look at me. Like it was very goofball. And I know Stu was goofy, but he had more subtlety when he played it the first time.
Did he though? Because
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of Billy's line to him, like it's called subtlety, Stu. You should look into it.
Well, that's actually hilarious that you say that because that completely negates everything I just said. No, but no, but I don't know. I think there's just something about it. I think it just I don't know. It just felt a
Hmm.
little bit over the top and
Yeah.
not in a real Stu way. Because Stu didn't feel over the top to me in the original Scream. It just felt
No,
like he was
no.
like that was him. Like he was crazy and that was his version of crazy. Whereas in this
Yeah.
one, it was like, hey, it's my day off from work, so I'm making these videos. How's it going? Glad to be part of the
Hmm.
movie. Like that's what it felt
Like,
like.
share, and subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Well,
I did my own prosthetics.
Bill, Caitlin Marinelli agrees. I wasn't either. His performance was way over the top, so you are not alone in that. But
I was so scared just now. That was me being vulnerable. I was about to like
yeah.
talk about uh yeah, Matthew Lillard and I was like watch me get shot in the face for this. But
Well, just to like finish up with the opening scene,
yes.
there the what I think is really great about it too is just sort of like it's very rewatchable. And I think that
Hmm.
has to do with sort of like the misdirection of the ghost face. And just like the whole time, like I was sort of wondering at what point does the killer like come in and swap out? Because we see like the mannequin parts afterwards,
Hmm.
but like obviously we don't. So I was like looking for like little details of like, is the knife held differently in a certain shot? And I didn't see anything, but I loved and this happened a few times throughout the movie, but the first time was here. It was sort of like the Michael Myers, the ghost face mask coming out of the shadows and then like disappearing into it again.
Yes. I could tell Kevin loved that effect. He did that a
Hmm.
few times and I think it was good because it made Ghostface into a ghost. Like it really made him
Yeah,
ghost-like.
absolutely. The kill with like the side of the head and like the eye thing was
Mm.
disgusting.
No, but
Um,
like it immediately bummed me out. That was the first moment that I was bummed out was the that CGI eyeball. Like I mean
mhm.
it's a cool effect, but I feel like it would have been done more realistically in Terrifier. I don't know. It looked a little CGI to me, and
Yeah.
so that was my first moment where I was like, a little CGI.
There's some pretty bad CGI throughout the movie. I
Yeah,
think
with
that
these
like it,
kills in this whole
yeah.
movie.
Hmm.
But I love the idea of it. I love the idea of it. I loved that actor, so I think it was really cool.
Yeah.
But it was and if they could have just done it a way that it looked a little bit more real, I would have liked that.
Yeah. I wasn't too thrilled about her death. And this is what I was talking about before, how I think that they could have improved this.
Mm.
I do think it's funny that when they like go into the kitchen and he's like, this is where Sydney Prescott and Gail Weathers torched Amber Freeman, and she says,
Yes.
oh, that would be a horrible way to die. And that's exactly how she ends up dying. But
Yes,
I
the movie did
think,
that a few times, but I wrote that
yeah.
down. They did it a few times. Sorry.
But I think what it would have been like better with her, like have all this stuff happen, like have her fall on the knife, whatever. But then like let him just sort of like burn the house down and leave her there. And that can almost be a thing like she's crawling out to like, potentially like give us a little bit of suspense. Like he can already leave the house and she's like crawling to get out, and then the chandelier falls on her and crushes her. And
I
and
don't
that could
know.
have been
See,
that could have been like the end of like just that could have cut to the title card. I would have been happy.
I like that. I can see that. But I there was a meanness to this ghost face, which I really liked.
Yeah.
And the meanness of him putting the gasoline on her is like horrifying because I was thinking about that. I'm like, imagine you're laying there, you're bleeding out from the stomach, like you already know that's a fatal wound, and
Is
she's
it
like,
though in this franchise?
no, in this franchise, it's a paper cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but you know, for this one character, I think that's why I didn't love that it was a sweatshirt because you couldn't really see anything of the wound. It just looked like a little
Yeah.
bit of a bloody spot. Like I would like to see more of like I would have liked to see more of a gash. So if she had like been like stripped down to a tank top, I don't know. But yeah, no. So I actually liked that Ghostface poured the gasoline on her because I feel like it added a meanness and a terrifyingness because you're just laying there now and you're like, oh my God, no. And it's her literal fear that she mentioned already that she would hate to
Hmm.
be burned alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kevin Williamson, I don't know if he wrote that in, but he did that twice. He did that with that part, and then he also did it with McKenna Grace when she's like, oh, this like my foot keeps getting stuck into this part of the costume, like her
Yeah.
and
Just
then
the
that's how she ends up
telegraphing.
and then yeah, exactly. And then it happens
Yeah.
right after that. So yeah.
The real tribal chief is saying that Ghostface's mask looked a little meaner this time. I thought he looked better and was shot better than in 5 and 6. I don't know about like the meanness. I'd have to look at it again, but I think that Ghostface is definitely shot better in in this movie than in the last two.
I think Ghostface had some good shots in the past two movies. like when he comes out of the hospital room chasing like after Tara. I thought,
Hmm.
and the music with it really helped it. That was in five, and then in six, I can't remember any moments, but yeah,
Hmm.
I think this movie was shot in a really fun way where like it felt spooky and it felt mean and it felt like, like a good, not Halloween vibe, but like that spooky fall vibe, which I loved.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Um, okay, so now we're kind of like jumping to Pine Grove and we're introduced to Tatum and reintroduced to Sydney, and we get kind of like the first look at their relationship. And I I like Tatum as a character. I feel like there's a lot lacking with her in a sense that what I was expecting from this movie, and it's not even like a matter of my expectations not being met. But like when I think of Halloween H2O, for instance, and sort of like the relationship between Laurie and Josh Hartnett, like her son John, that's what I wanted because I feel like the authenticity of that relationship, like I feel like the tension between those two in that movie and like him just sort of being stifled by her and like being a helicopter parent. And with Tatum in regard to Sydney, it feels like a lot of like her issues with Sydney are kind of forced. I just don't get
Yeah.
the it doesn't seem like she's saying there's like a lot of dialogue that's just saying that like, oh, is your mom gonna let you out of your cage tonight and like this and that. But really the only thing that Sydney is doing in terms of like not I guess being considered a not good parent is she's not openly communicating with her about her past trauma. So it's just like all this like bullshit is just like making it sound like Sydney is like not a good like just like almost like too overprotective and all this, but like we're never seeing that. It doesn't look like that. I think that her behavior is very
No.
normal considering her past. Like she's just like, yo, Ben, like get out of my house. Like you're not gonna climb through the window. Like that's creepy and like locking the door. So for her to be like hypocrite and all that, like I just I see the Sydney in Nev, or say I see like in Nev's performance, I see Sydney. I don't see who the daughter is and like everything that's like in the writing of Tatum.
I thought Nev was a great mom. I'm like, if my mom caught a stranger from my high school or like whatever, someone I was dating just in my bedroom, like it would be a lot angrier, a lot louder of an Italian mom being like what the hell are you doing in here? Trying to slay. So I think Nev Sydney's a great mom,
Hmm.
and Tatum did feel very forced. Like she just, I in my review I wrote down because I had like positives, mixed, and negatives, and Tatum is in my mixed, and I don't mind her because I don't mind her as much as Sam. Like Sam would like, kind of rub me the wrong way a little bit with her like girl bossness.
Hmm.
Tatum didn't bother me as much. But I just felt like it was constant conflict, and I feel like a lot of her conflict in this movie with Tatum, with Sydney was that like her name is Tatum, and I didn't like that. That she was like, "It's nice to know what you think of me. Like you named me after a girl whose head was crushed in the garage, and like she's just a victim, and like that's what you think of me." Like what? Like are you kidding me? Like you've never asked about your name up until this moment. Like your mom's never been like, "Oh my God, no, your name was my best friend's name," and that's so special to me.
Hmm.
And this is, I know it's different based on everybody, but um in your point of like she's mad because she doesn't know the whole part of like Sydney's past and like everything like that. Um I think that's like a little, I mean, I'm sure there's kids that would be mad about that, but being a little vulnerable here, like my dad has a past and I love my dad. He's awesome. I don't know if he's watching this right now.
Hmm.
But he has a mysterious past that I didn't know about from a lot of my childhood, and he was the best dad ever. He is the best dad ever. I love him to death.
Yeah.
And I never held that against him. Like I just knew that he had stuff in his past that he didn't want me to know about because I was too young. And I'm like, yeah, Tatum, you're 17 years old. Wait a second.
Hmm.
Like, and she'll tell you about it when she was ready.
Yeah. Especially like in comparison to Sydney's relationship with her mother, because she says like I think it was in Scream 3, like, my mom had a very mysterious past and I just had to kind of like reconcile with the fact that I wasn't going to know everything and et cetera and so forth. So it's just interesting that like here's a woman who actually was very mysterious and had like a lot of things going on versus like Sydney. And I think that like, in a way, like Sydney's if to criticize, not even criticize her, but to like credit Tatum for, I guess, like pointing this out, is that like she could be a little bit more forthcoming rather than just saying it's in books and movies. You can look it up yourself. Like that was kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think that Tatum is a bratty character or anything, like the way that she's written. It just, my only gripe is that the conflict feels very flimsy. So throughout the movie, I don't like certain moments don't feel as earned for me because it's just sort of like, was that really a problem for them? Did that really have to be a problem for them? But I agree with you. Like I like the character. I think that she was written to be a lot smarter than the way that Sam and Tara were written. I think that, there's like a moments towards the end, like when she's like going into the coffee shop and like into the office and like shelf, desk, like all of that. Like she was
Hmm.
on top of things. So I think like given even like when she thought the boyfriend was the killer, when they got into the car, like she
Yeah.
immediately just like took his laptop and like knocked him
Beat the
out.
shit out of him.
So it's like
Yeah.
she might have made mistakes, but she didn't do them like haphazardly.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I did. I liked her. I don't know how I felt when I did see that scene because it was I know they were trying to replicate the scene from Scream 1 when Billy sneaks
Mm,
into the window. It just felt like I think because I've seen it in Scary Movie now, I've seen it in Scream. I feel like we've just seen that scene too many times of someone like sneaking through the window. So I was a little
yeah.
bit like, oh God, I hope the whole movie isn't just a retread of Scream again. And luckily it was not. Thank
Someone
God.
mentioned in the comments, I forget who it was, but yeah, it was just weird that he was like coming in and quoting Stab to her. It was just like it's kind of creepy to do that, especially considering like who the mom is, and that that part of it I didn't like, but what I liked was sort of like this like Sydney's entrance into it and her just like knowing, just like, Ben, how you doing over there?
Yeah.
Like that kind of like made it all worth it. And I
I like
think
the
like,
All right, sorry not to cut you off. I just
yeah.
wanted to say I like that they're like, well, since he's already here, can you just stay? And she's like, no. I love that. She's like,
Hmm.
no, like that's not how that
No,
works. Like,
absolutely
no.
not.
That
Yeah.
was really funny. Yeah.
The well, yeah, what I was gonna say with the boyfriend character, I actually liked him. I think that he was one of the stronger characters in the movie, especially like of her
Mm.
friend group. Like he was probably like
Mm-hmm.
the strongest character, at least like from where he was written. So it really kind of disappointed me, like the trajectory that they gave him, because I would have liked a lot more with him. I would have liked there to be like maybe more of an arc with him and Sydney, of just like maybe there is a moment where Sydney has to trust him, or if she's like put in a position to, or even like let the boyfriend
Mm.
survive for once. And I know like someone told me because I brought this up, and they're like, well, Danny survived in six, and I'm like, I forget that Danny is even a character in that movie.
No, it was
So
cringe.
yeah, so I would have just liked to see them do something different with the boyfriend for once. And even like his kill felt very underwhelming. Like it was just sort of, it was one of like the least interesting that they did, but
Yeah,
that can,
I don't like a jump out of nowhere and like I mean sometimes that works.
yeah.
But uh but I did like him a lot and I think that it was nice that him and Tatum got to have that scene where they had a little moment together, a little sentimental scene.
Hmm.
And it would have been nice for him to carry on to the next movie because I one big problem I had with this movie was her friend group, like the way that they were either handled or the way that they actually yeah, the way that all of them were handled, like of her friend group. It like
Yeah.
each of their
Well,
deaths were interesting but also like kind of bummers at the same time. So,
okay, because like I want to talk about McKenna Grace's
yeah.
character
Let's can we
because
jump into McKenna Grace? Because I mean that was
can we
early in the movie, so
please? Yeah, like that's, well, I mean, she's like so like featured prominently because she's like half of the vocals on the, I guess the official Twisting the Knife theme song
hmm
of Scream 7.
hmm
But she is barely in this. Like she like I think one of the complaints I had for Scream 5 was like Dylan Minnette's character was so underused, and it felt like this is like a really good actor that you probably want to use more in your movie. And then you have like a McKenna Grace who like literally like two scenes, if that.
Yeah.
And I just like I don't understand why. Like I feel like the dialogue of this movie is not very good. Like for instance, like Sydney is cussing like a sailor. I've never heard her swear so much in my life. It kind of it made it less impactful when she would have a moment where she dropped an F-bomb. But like there's like just more so like the dialogue between the characters and stuff. You have Hannah is McKenna Grace's character,
Yes.
and she's introduced by saying, "Oh, by the way, I'm having a party tonight, so make sure that you're there." And then we're reminded in the next scene when they're in the theater, she's like, "Don't forget, I've got a party tonight." And it's like she's about to die. Why did they like
Yeah.
feel that this was like that they needed to like take up their script real estate with this fact twice? Like it
Yeah.
just like it's
For a
stuff
party
like
that
that.
never
A
happens. For a
party that
party
never
that,
happened. Yeah.
yeah. No, I felt the same way. I really was excited for her character because she was giving like the Sarah Michelle Gellar vibe to me for some
Hmm.
reason, like the Helen
Yeah.
Shivers of it all. Maybe a little sorority girl vibe, CC Cooper. So, um, as soon as we saw her in that fairy dress, I was like, oh shoot. Because I knew from the trailer that she dies in that dress. So I was like, oh my God, well, hopefully, like, maybe this is just the rehearsal. And then, like, later on, like, the night of the show, or like, or maybe there'll be another rehearsal when she's here back by herself rehearsing. Maybe that's when she dies.
Hmm.
No, I was so bummed. And it was weird because I'm pretty sure when the movie was coming out, like, didn't they have a casting and they had different character descriptions? And, like, I think, like, her character description was like popular girl. I don't know what it was. But like she's super sweet and bubbly in that opening scene where she's like, "Oh, hey, great jacket. Oh, party tonight." And then the car pulls up and she's like all giggly. And then she plays a little bit of a diva when she's in the school play, but we don't know anything about her, so it just feels random that she has that line when
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh no, it's totally fine, but like not you though. Like you still pretend to be scared because like I don't know, we're like we don't even know you." And like that's not what your character seems like. Like out of nowhere now you're playing a little bit of a diva because you're on stage. But I
Yeah.
don't know. I just liked her so much. I wish we could have just gotten more with her to establish that character that she's a I would have
Yeah.
loved to see her play a diva and then get killed later on stage.
Well, it's like the you mentioned Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Scream 2 does such a good job of establishing her. Like she's in the classroom scene, and that's maybe like 2.5 minutes, and then
Hmm.
like you see her in the background in the quad, but then she gets like a full 6 or 7 minute scene, whatever that is, at
Hmm.
Omega Beta Zeta. So I feel like it's really earned with that. But like this really did feel like that not stunt casting, but where it's just like what Scream originally was, where we're like gonna get like a well-known person and put them into like the movie. And that's just sort of like what it was like way back when in like the late 90s. So with her, it felt like they were kind of just ticking that box of like, yeah, we've got a well-known face. Because I guess like I don't really know who she is. Like I've just started to hear about her in the last couple of years, if that like
Hmm.
this last year. But apparently she's like been in 19 different franchises. She's
She was
now
in
going to be
Haunting of Hill
Da
House.
She's now going to be
Yeah.
Daphne in
Yes.
whatever the next Scooby-Doo iteration is. So like
Hmm.
really like taking up Sarah Michelle Gellar's mantle in that regard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish that we had more with her. I wish that there was at least the time spent here, because I feel like we do spend a lot of time with Sydney and Tatum and Mark, which is all well and good. Like I appreciate that we see this. I think that this movie has like a very mature vibe to it up to a point. And I liked that. So I was happy to like not have as much of like the teenage friend group, but I feel like in
Hmm.
certain cases we did need a little bit more time spent with some of these characters like Hannah before taking care of them. But I will say that her death scene is probably my favorite in the movie. I think that it's like the way like that shot at the end where she's just dangling there with the guts hanging out. I guess the guts were digitally removed for the trailer.
Hmm.
But it's like a really nice shot.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were digitally removed or if they just shot it twice or whatever. But yeah, I would say I don't know if it's something that Wes Craven was just really good at, but Wes Craven was so good at making us care about the characters that he was killing. And so whether
Hmm.
it was Casey Becker in the opening scene, we only see her for that one scene, but we feel so bad when she dies because he was able to capture her in such a way that like we see her as this soft girl, we see her like facial expressions, we see her fear in her face, but it's not through overacting. It's not through her saying that she's scared. So we genuinely like, and then she's calling out for her mom. Like he was really good at that stuff of giving us a heart. Same with Sarah Michelle Gellar. When we see Sarah Michelle Gellar in Scream 2 as Cece, we have close-ups on her face. We see her fear in her face. We see that she's trying to be a good sister. I feel like he gave her more heart again, like and a more time to exist on her own. Um and so I just feel like with McKenna Grace, it's not the same thing because she wasn't given that opportunity to kind of like have a moment of
Mhm.
compassion on her own so that we could feel bad for her a little bit. But
Yeah.
I did enjoy her death. And one thing I think the movie did really great was it made me think for this scene anyway that maybe Tatum was the killer. At this point, I thought maybe Tatum was the killer because they were saying, oh, it's someone that knows the backstage. They didn't show Tatum in this time period, and then right after McKenna Grace dies, Tatum runs out. So I was like, oh my
And
God, could she be the killer? But then the very next scene is
who
when they're hiding in
would
the
know
wall.
this? Yeah, who would know the stage though of like the three killers that it turns out to be? I guess
I
maybe
would
the
think
mom.
just the mom because
Yeah.
she like maybe pick up her kid from school. And I think that was this movie was also really good at red herrings. I feel like this movie was so good at like I kind of
Was
thought
it?
everyone I no I did like I mean you I kind of thought that everyone could be the killer at one point. Like I mean they shut down the Tatum red herring pretty quick because when she's going through the wall with Sydney and the killer stabbing
Hmm.
through it, that could have easily killed her. So that like they wouldn't like take that chance. But I felt like there was so many red herrings. By the end, literally anyone could have taken off the mask and had an answer and had some reason for it. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they did red herrings better than five and six for sure, but
Yes,
it's
much, I think that's
still,
what I'm talking about. Is much better
yeah,
than 5 and 6.
it's but still not up to par with, where the first three movies were. Because I don't think that like I guess Scream 4 did some red herrings, but yeah, like I got kind of the sense through most of it. Like I didn't know I stayed off of the internet and away from everything because I know that the killers were leaked leading up to everything, but I kind of
Mm.
had a sense that Anna Camp was at least going to be one of the killers because it's the same thing with like Quinn in Scream 6 where she's
Mm-hmm.
having that like one-on-one conversation to just like bring up this like personal information that is kind of irrelevant. Um,
Overshare. Yeah.
yeah, that and no other character does this, where it's just like you hear about her past, that it's just like, okay, so this is important. This is going to be a
Yes.
clue because the script doesn't know subtlety. And I think of like when I think of a good red herring, I think that Cotton Weary is the best one because he has motive and that's already established. I think like what the best thing that you can do to create a good red herring is to establish someone who has motive. And they've just never been able to do that outside of the first three movies. Like I think that Neil Prescott in the first one, like they didn't. It was more about like his disappearance that made him suspicious, and I still think that that worked very well for what it was. And then in Scream 3, just sort of like the John Milton of it all, of sort of being this producer with a shady past and stuff. Like it's just like there's motive there. But I think that moving forward, it just felt like the franchise has kind of like fallen onto like the tropes of like, well, we'll just make this person seem suspicious for no reason whatsoever. And like,
Yeah.
especially with Scream 6, with like trying to make Kirby seem like the killer.
There was no one. Well, that's what the issue was with 5 and 6 was like they kept killing off their red herrings. Whereas this movie, by the end,
Hmm.
we at least still had like I wasn't sure through most of the movie if it was Anna Camp's son or not. Like I was like because they're
Yeah.
making him very obvious, but also they're trying to make it very obvious so that they can like make it him at the end. Um, and that yeah, so I don't know. I just felt like because they made everyone seem so suspicious at different points that they could have that it could have just been anyone for whatever motive that they chose to make. Because I mean, honestly, that's what they did with Anna Camp. Like her motive was so out of left field that it was just kind of like
Hmm.
I don't know, like it could have so anyone could have had a silly motive. And I
Yeah.
feel like if Anna Camp had maybe played her role less chipper, I think so I think that's an acting thing. I think that is
Hmm.
completely because I know she's a Broadway girly. I know she's a musical girly. She has that voice, that beautiful, like cartoonish voice, and I think that that's awesome. But I feel like she needed to play. I think even her dialogue, I think, wasn't that bad. I think the way she was written wasn't super bad. I think if she had just maybe played it a little bit more grounded. Of
Hmm.
course, when a character brings up like something tragic from their past, as if it's just like secondhand conversation. Obviously, that's like a clue, but I think if she had maybe not been so, oh well, Sydney, you know that you have to be like this. You just have to worry about that. Oh no, come on! Like, why are you talking like that? No one talks like that. You're acting
Yeah.
so like nice person. Like you're acting so I'm the good guy that it's very obvious. So I think that if she had just played that a little bit more real, like
Yeah.
then it would have been a little bit less obvious.
Yeah. I would have also liked to see, because, Kevin obviously spends a lot of time showing us sort of like this lived-in world of the Evans family, the Evans Prescott's family house. I would have liked to see more of that kind of exactly what you're saying, just sort of like carried over into her other relationships. So like with Jessica, like I like actually make it seem like this is a friend of hers rather than just sort of like performing as a friend or
Mm.
making it just like again checking the boxes and being like, well, here's our characters. We're establishing the suspects. I think at one point Judy Greer was in talks to play that role. Um, I don't know how different that would have been, but I know from Cursed like how Judy Greer would do
Yeah.
a reveal of a killer, which would probably be like very over the top as well. But
Been very similar of a performance, I feel like.
yeah, I think that like the one of the biggest flaws in this movie is that there are too many characters, and you could easily excise a whole bunch of them, and it would seriously give a lot more real estate to characters like Jessica and Ben to kind of like establish them a little bit better, allow everything to kind of be within the realm of like this very mature tone that the movie is starting out with here. Um, but I guess the next big set piece is like everything's in the house and just like the panic room and crawling through the walls, which I
Yes,
mean was very spoiled in the trailer.
it
But
was.
yeah.
And actually I'm glad that you brought this up because I wanted to say that I think that what really impacted me with this movie the first time I watched it was that I had to use the bathroom. I had to pee really bad. So right after the theater scene, I was like, okay, like they just arrived at home. I was like, there'll be a little scene here before Ghostface attacks. So I have like a
Mhm.
minute. So I ran to the bathroom. Like I literally rushed into the bathroom, peed as quick as I could, washed my hands, came right back. And Ghostface was already like well on his attack because he comes out immediately when they get home.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thrown off. I was like, oh shoot, like and even though I only missed a little tiny bit of that, it threw off the pace of the entire movie for me. I don't know what it was. Like I just feel like um seeing it a second time and just getting to see Ghostface like open the attic door and come down and like even though that just added a little bit more of like a breather for me I think it really helped with my pacing like okay because it's just the movie is kind of go 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 um and I think I wasn't expecting that on the first watch.
Mm.
So I was kind of thrown off guard when I got came into the theater and he was already that scene was already happening with the wall. And I was like, "Oh, I missed like how did I miss that already?" So
Yeah.
seeing it a second time, it flowed for me and I was like, "Okay, I'm enjoying this."
The movie is really well paced. There
Yeah,
aren't
it's
any
fun.
lulls for me. It's fun to a point. I keep mentioning a point and I'll get to it. There's actually
Hmm.
two specific points where I feel like the movie
Where it's not
loses
fun.
me a little bit. But
Hmm.
especially like it's a very strong first act, especially after like a very strong opening scene. And I think that everything that is happening, like it's just go, 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 but it doesn't feel like we're being rushed at this point in the movie. And I love like all like even though I'd seen it already in the trailers and all that, like I just loved kind of seeing the whole thing play out with just like the stabbing through the wall. I loved when Sydney like hit the knife to like bend it so it was stuck in the wall.
Yes, that was cool.
That was a
Smart.
great moment for her. But I also kind of like the aspect that like there's urgency for her to go because like I guess she had to get out to save the husband who had like fallen unconscious at the bottom of the stairs. Um, and at that moment, like the smartest thing would have just been like get Tatum to stay in the room, but she was being so obnoxious about like wanting to go with her.
Of
So it's like,
course.
yeah, so like
And then
that,
instantly she's like, Mom.
yeah.
And like,
Mhm.
yeah, that's why I told you to stay in the room.
It really bugged me that the Scream 2 jacket got caught on whatever and they just left it. I mean,
And that was it.
I'm sure they went back and got it after, but like it's just like no, like just don't do that.
No,
Take it with you.
I don't want to jump to it, but I'm going to jump to it because you mentioned the jacket. That like
Yeah.
this is silly, but wardrobe matters a lot to me, and
Mm.
hair and makeup matter a lot to me. Wardrobe matters a lot to me, and so for Tatum's chase scene later on in the movie when she's running through the town, I hated that she had a huge puffy coat on. Like she didn't have the leather jacket on anymore. She had her like big puffy coat on, and so
Yeah.
when she ran, she looked like a little Sonic the Hedgehog. Like she was running from Ghostface in the town at first. Like it was
Mm.
like she was just so bulky with it, and so she had her head down, and she looked like this like little like bing, 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 bing. I don't know. So I wish that she could have had the leather jacket for the
Yeah.
rest of the movie for sure.
There's a lot of comments in the chat right now about Mark not being Mark Kincaid.
Mm,
Do you have an opinion about that? I'm just going to say that
I
Brian is just saying this is not just some random Mark. This is Mark Kincaid, Ghostface survivor of Scream 3. That is how it was written, even though Patrick Dempsey turned it down.
I really liked Mark. I actually
Yeah.
I liked this actor. I'm not like a huge Patrick Dempsey fan. I don't know why.
Mm,
I don't dislike him. I just I didn't really love him in Scream 3. I thought, he was really dark and brooding at the end. He was like, "Come on, we're watching a movie." Like pops his foot and then runs off. Um But no, I liked Mark Evans. I thought he was like just a nice balance for Sydney. That was like a loving husband, and he was like had a little sense of humor with her. They were able to giggle in bed together. And I'm kind of glad he didn't die. I don't know how he didn't die. It was a classic Scream 7, classic Scream, like
mm,
literally stabbed, I think, 3 or 4 times in the stomach, vital organs, and then the big slash that cuts to like the end of the scene. So I don't know what that last
yeah.
slash was, but
Well, it's like
yeah.
this what they did with Tara in the opening scene as well. So
Yes, what
that
was
was
that
actually,
slash?
yeah, that was one of the biggest surprises for me in this movie that he didn't die from those wounds. And I think that that's kind of a testament to seven over five and six because the franchise had got to a point where it's just like there's so much like damage being done to these people. Like at one point, like at the end of Scream 6, when Tara drops down, when she's like, Sam, let me go, like,
Yeah,
doesn't she fall on a knife? Or
literally on the
like,
knife.
yeah, and it's just like, no,
Forgets
I'm
about it
okay.
immediately.
I'm fine. I'm fine. So it kind of, I guess, though the fact that with Scream 7, Kevin was able to shift the tone to be more mature and serious, that when someone was like stabbed, even less than like how much the characters were like had damage inflicted upon them in 5 and 6, where I actually thought, okay, they're dead now because this is a more serious movie. And him coming back to life at the end or being revealed to be alive didn't feel silly. It didn't feel like a thing like you're alive? How did this happen? Like it
Mindy and
just
Chad. Yeah,
yeah.
it didn't feel like that. Yeah.
Which kind of, I mean, well, I'll get to this in a sec, but the let's talk more about like this ghost face that's just like this fight kind of ensues out onto the lawn. You got Sydney
Hmm.
like taking this like lamp post or something out, and I thought for a second she might like impale him like through the neck
Yeah.
with that thing, but no, she just knocked him out. But this tussle ends up getting this killer rolled out onto the road, and I knew the moment that it cut to that wider shot or that mid shot of Ghostface like standing up on the road. Like I guess maybe I've seen way too much Final Destination that he was
Hmm.
gonna get hit by a car.
Yes.
And this van literally comes out of nowhere the same way it does with Final Destination. And of course we get our reintroduction to Gale, Chad and Mindy.
Yeah, and I actually didn't mind it as much as I thought I would. I thought like Gail's intro would be a little bit like too much, too cheesy,
Mhm.
too like on the nose for like, hey audience. But no, it
Yeah.
was actually really good. The whole audience cheered when in both theaters that I went to. So I think it was cool. And I kind of actually do like the idea that they switched it up a little bit, got rid of a killer halfway
Mhm.
through. Granted, it was someone that we just Like twice, couldn't remember who it was.
Carl Gibbs is the name, and I love how they had to keep repeating the name because it's like that same thing with like everything new and on Netflix. It's like, well, just to make sure you're
Uh-huh.
paying attention, we're gonna say his name,
Yep.
Carl Gibbs. Carl Gibbs is
Mhm.
his name.
It was
This
Carl
guy,
Gibbs.
this guy that we've never met. This is the first point where I'm kind of taken out of the movie, and it's because of Chad and Mindy. I think that their presence here
Mm.
completely upsets the tone. It's very because I don't find like the gale of it to be cheat. I mean, it is, but them kind of coming out and being like on either side of her and being like,
Yes.
and like Chad, get the camera, Mindy, like set up, like, and then they're like, oh, did you see that? This is the big times now. We're gonna do a thing, and this is why we're here. And it feels so like for a few reasons very inauthentic of like the relationship with these characters because it's like the same thing with Chad being like all schmoozy with Tara in Scream 6. Like they never had any relationship in 5 to build off of.
Yeah.
In 6, there really are no interactions between Chad and Mindy and Gale. So it's just kind of it feels very forced to have them like not only in this movie but like to be working for Gale. And if it had to be like let's just say there was no way around it, Chad and Mindy are in this movie and they're going to be working with Gale, I would have liked to see that relationship between them like the same way that we see Gale with cameraman Joel in Scream 2. Because there's like many opportunities throughout this movie. Like, why would Gale not have her assistants come to the TV station with her?
Hmm.
Why is that an oversight where she just like lets them fuck off and they're doing their own thing at this tavern. So it just felt like it served like two moments of, Mindy trying to go rogue with her broadcast and Gail coming over and just
Hmm.
like if you try that again, I'll like rip your throats out or whatever she says.
Yeah.
So it feels very forced in a way. And then we've got like the scene the next day where Chad and Mindy are it might have even been like in the kitchen that night, I don't remember. Where they're just sort of talking about like, well, we're like good friends of the family. Like I guess like Sydney has allowed them to stay there. Like they have like set up camp in the Evans house, and Chad's like water pressure in the shower is like excellent and like et cetera and so forth. And they're like, well, we're really good friends of the family because our uncle Randy was friends with Sydney growing up. And it's just like,
Hmm.
I don't care. That has been the problem with 5 and 6 is that it's all
Yeah.
tell, no show. We don't see these relationships. I don't like, as far as I know, like Chad and Mindy are nobody to Sydney. So to
Yeah.
like, and they don't even share a scene in this movie. Like they're there, they're occupying the same space, but there's no acknowledgement. So it's like the moment that Chad and Mindy arrive, everything just kind of goes to pot for me in terms of like the beautiful mature tone that is set up. We've now got these like goofy characters like
Yes.
cracking jokes and stuff, and and then they proceed to like make the same bad decisions that I've talked about in 5 and 6, where it's like Mindy's always talking about how she's learned her lesson and she's going to do better this time. And then she suggests like, well, what we have to do is we have to assemble all of the suspects and have them all in one room. And like if Sydney was there, if Sydney was in that scene, she would be like, no, that's a horrible idea. You don't want to like box yourself in the room with a killer.
Oh yeah, I can't stand Mindy. I wrote Mindy is in my negative section. I said Mindy just doesn't feel like a real character. I don't know if it's a problem with the actress. I have not liked her in any of these movies. I think she kind of did her thing in the Scream 5 because it was something a little bit different. But like even then, I think I was like I felt like I had to like her, or I was supposed to like her, and I don't. Sorry, I don't. I don't think she's good, and I think that she plays the character like a student in improv. Like, have you ever seen an improv show? I used to do improv, so I can make fun of
Sure.
it. No, but like it's very like everything has a punch and everything has to be like aha, and it doesn't feel real. And so when I didn't write down the dialogue because I was in the theater and I didn't want to be on my phone too much, but like I wish I had written down some of her dialogue because it was like someone asked her a question and she was like she answered it but it was like so quippy and then she sits down and she's like well me this and this because this and this is this. Like it
Mhm.
just felt very fake and forced,
Yeah.
and I don't
I
like
mean,
that.
I mean, the thing is it's the writing as well.
It felt very
And
Scream 6. It felt like very those writers
yeah, but
for
that's
Mindy.
the thing. Well, because Guy Busick is still credited as a writer.
Guy Busick, yes, him.
I'm still like unsure of like how much is Kevin and how much is Guy, and if there's any like collaboration between the two of them throughout this. But that was a thing. It's just like it felt like we were like Scream 5 and 6 just sort of like seeped its way through a crack and invaded
Yeah.
this movie and infected it with the stupid shit
Yes.
that those movies had. And I don't have issues with those actors. I don't I'm not really familiar with Jasmine outside of the Scream movies. But I've seen Mason Gooding in a lot of things. I really like him. I but it just felt with here it's like he can play serious and they just have him playing goofy and comedic. And her whole shtick is
Yeah.
exactly what you said. And it's like if they were going to have them here, I wish that they just would have been like grounded them a little bit more. Angelica Noel, this comment passed by, did say that Chad and Mindy, I did get what I wanted, I guess, in a sense that Chad and Mindy have more like one-on-ones with one another, which to this movie's credit, I think that I'm glad that they did that. I'm glad that it wasn't just sort of like all group scenes of them just sort of like Mindy kind of taking over and Chad like quipping to that. Like they did have their
Hmm.
little asides. I still would have what I would have preferred if like the suspect talk was just the two of them and not this idea of just bringing in like let's wrangle up all the suspects and stuff and the fact that like nobody was there to call them out for that and just be like, no. Or even Chad to be like, Mindy, this never works. Like, let's not do this. And that like I think the whole tavern scene, like in general, like I didn't like anything that happened there.
No.
Um, but
No. The tavern scene. Well, that was like so I don't know the character's name. What is the other friend's name? Um,
oh,
Tatum's friend,
Chloe,
I guess.
yeah.
Um, felt like such a waste of a character.
Mhm.
Um, that was she was just such a and then her death was such a waste. Like she dies off screen. Like and that seemed wild to me that she
Well,
gets thrown off
she's
the bar
yeah. She
and you hear
we don't
glass
see the
shatter.
impact, but we see the shard of
Yeah.
glass in
So
her
she died
neck.
off screen
Well, like
and it was
I just
dumb.
yeah, I find her like Chloe and what Lucas to just be very tropey kind of characters. Like they're more of like these archetypes. They're just like you're a
Mhm.
creepy boy and she's like alternative edgy girl and that was like the whole like crux of that scene of like them being like you're our prime suspects here and then you because you're the boyfriend. But let's not get ahead of
Yes.
ourselves because there's still
True. Yes.
there's more that's happening here. We've got this scene between Gail and Sydney, like them kind of like solo, and it's we get another phone call or like AI call from Stu and everything, but there's
Hmm.
this moment where like we see that Gail has this tremor, which is an after effect of
Mm.
what happened in New York, and I love that because it's very much like a callback to Dewey and just sort of like his like physical disabilities that came from like being attacked in the first movie and probably like every other movie since. So she now has this kind of commonality with him, like in like, even though he's dead. And I don't know, I just thought it was like a really nice moment. And, even though I don't love like a lot of the dialogue in the scene because it feels like it's very much trying to poke fun of like the Scream franchise and just like all of like the production issues and everything that like had transpired like after Scream 5 until this point.
Hmm.
This is the scene where Sydney says, "Yeah, that would be a better story if it was Stu."
Yeah.
Mhm. And I will say this about the phone calls and all that. I wish that what they had done. I mean, firstly, I wish they brought every killer back, at least like the killers from Screams 1 to 4,
Jill.
which were Sydney's killers. And I think it would have been fun to kind of have like each new phone call would have been one of them. It didn't have to like you could save some of them for like the very end of the movie for like when she goes through the thing, but it would have been nice to like, okay, we've got our Stu call, let's get our Jill call now or something like
Mm.
that. And then, you know, kind of cycle through them. So it's not just this one thing, because it does feel like a little forced. Like, why is it just Stu? Why are they only using Stu at this point until like later when clearly they're planning on using more killers and Dewey to just like why not like allow that to be the thing all throughout?
Yeah. Again, the AI thing for me, I don't know. It just felt a little strange. Like what did I don't know. It just felt a little weird to me with the AI angle, and I feel like Dewey looked really bad. When we saw
Mhm.
him in the AI, like they couldn't have made him look a little bit better. I didn't like the AI part of
Yeah.
it all.
I think that the reason why it doesn't fully work, and this is tied a lot to the killer scheme and all of that, because it doesn't really tie into the movie or what it's saying, or sort of like a commentary on film right now. And I think
Mhm.
that that's sort of been, I mean, this is kind of a weakness of Scream 6 because Scream 6, like from 5 to 6, nothing really transpired within the horror genre or the film industry to comment on anything, which is why the franchise talk felt very forced. But here it's like, okay, if you're gonna have this whole thing about AI, there could have been something that like spoke to movies. Like this doesn't feel like a very meta movie to me. Like it feels the least meta. I know that there's like meta-ness in terms of like the way that it references itself, or just like sort of like everything that like went on in the franchise
The
of
Nev
like,
Campbell of it
yeah.
all.
But I what I missed, like what made the first Scream and Scream 2 so good, and like what it was is like that mission statement that Scream is a horror movie that exists in a universe where every other horror movie exists. And that was like the whole point of the first movie, of just like being able to reference everything. And then in two, they introduced the idea of stab, and they didn't like overdo it. Like it was still kind of like this idea of like, well, then sequels, where do they go from here? But then it felt like starting with Scream 3, just in terms of like having the stab franchise, and then especially in 4, and then even more so in 5, it's the movies, like the Scream movies became less about um paying honor and homage to the horror genre, and more so about um, kind of referencing itself.
Yeah, pay
And that's
homage to
why
itself.
and that's why it feels like everything's like nostalgia, it's referencing itself. Like even in the opening scene when the couple is gets the phone call and they're like doing the trivia thing, and he's like, well, what's your favorite scary movie? And he's like, Stab One, duh. And I always think back to what Stab was in Scream 2, and it's like this is not a good scary movie. Like this was by design made to be this like really hokey, low budget, like schlocky retelling of true crime. It wasn't even
Yeah.
a murder mystery, because everybody knows the story of the Woodsboro murders. Tori Spelling is on the news, or being like interviewed, and saying like what would potentially be a spoiler if it was a murder mystery. So I think that like that's the mistake that the franchise has made moving forward, to have them kind of treat the Stab movies with such reverence as if they were the placeholder for the Scream franchise. So I think because of that, like it's sort of like it lost the sauce. And if there was a way to kind of go back to talking about the horror genre in more of like a lovingly way that it did in the first couple of movies, they could have done something like that, and they could have incorporated like AI and what AI meant for like the film industry in general. But here it just feels like it's tacked on. It feels like the killers are just using it. Just it honestly just felt like an excuse to bring Matthew Lillard back.
100%.
Yeah.
And even like the way that they did the morphing AI scene, like when like all the
Mhm.
killers are morphing into each other, that felt very goofy. Like that feels like something that like or
Yeah.
even when like Tatum sees her boyfriend AI footage of like himself pretending to be Matthew Lillard, and he like and like it's like him, and then also it transforms into Matthew Lillard. Like
Yeah.
that was just so silly to me. Like why would he edit it
I
that way, where half of him is like himself and then half of him is Matthew Lillard?
I
I don't know.
actually
I just thought it was funny.
preferred that though. I like the way that like he glitched into it, rather than like what they did with like the end of the movie where we're kind of doing this like really like crappy house tour where we're like we're going down a hallway and then we're gonna turn here.
Yes, it
Now we're in
felt
the
video
kitchen.
game-ish. Yeah, it felt very
It's
video game-esque.
Yeah, no, it felt like I was looking at like an online listing for the Mocker House and like getting a virtual tour of it.
Yeah.
And I there's a few things because this is what I would have loved. Like if it was just the killer and we weren't moving and it like glitched into all of them and like just changed like cycled throughout them and they all could have like had a line. Like even Charlie could have been in there for 2 seconds and said like everything I learned from you, which was
Hmm.
like a thing that he said to Sydney in Scream 4. And just sort of like the other thing that really bothered me, like it's fine with Stu because I get that like we're trying to create this misdirection of like Stu is alive and his face is scarred from what happened. So he would be like Stu age in 2026. But why is Laurie Metcalf and
Yeah.
Scott Foley like their current age? Like this is, and if this is supposed to be AI, just de-age them. It doesn't matter how shitty it is because then you can just excuse it by saying like, well, it's bad AI. And that like the fact that they did that, the fact that they only had the three of them, like it just felt like an odd selection. Like,
It felt
did
like
they
that's who's
ask?
available. It
Did
felt
they
like that
ask
was
the
who.
other? Like, was Emma asked to come back and she turned it down?
She said no.
I don't
She
think
said not
Emma
for that
wants
little
to.
part. But she said
Yeah,
not for that little part, and they probably couldn't offer a lot of money to those roles.
yeah,
So, she was probably like no.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
you never know. But you also mentioned the Dewey aspect of it, and this kind of like yes, Dewey is for all intents and purposes Sydney's friend, and that like his death like obviously had a profound impact on her life, but Dewey and Sydney's relationship is not one that like is prominently featured throughout the franchise. Like they have like little moments here and there. Like in two, they have the moment where they're like sitting at the gazebo and you know he's saying like this person's already in your
mhm.
life and you have to be careful. And then like the moment later where he's you know seeing how she's doing and she says like I'm not gonna break. I'm not glass. Like you know. In three. I think they have the moment where she comes into the station and in four, there's like them sitting on the couch when he's talking about her book and like reciting pages and stuff. And obviously in five, they have the phone call. But like most of like Dewey's interactions with like other characters is like Gale, like that's where the weight of it is. So I think that what would have been more appropriate is to have Dewey, like when Stu calls into the station or the killer calls into the station, have that be Dewey because Gale's there. Have that like that would be more
Mm,
profound for Gale to see that.
impactful.
And then in the end, because she has been mentioned so many times throughout this movie, I mean, just for the namesake, they should have got Rose McGowan to like instead of Dewey there, just have Tatum. And then that would have hit so much harder for
Oh,
Sydney to be like, oh, you're
yeah,
friends that you've this. Who knows? Maybe they did ask Rose McGowan to come back and she turned it down because like
yeah,
I don't know like what her relationship is to Kevin Williamson at this point, but had they got her, had she been in the movie and in that moment, like that would have been heartbreaking for Sydney.
yeah.
Like that actually would have landed.
I think it would have been cool if they had de-aged them, like
Mhm.
you said, and like and even if we could tell that it looked like AI, that would have been totally fine. Because I just think it would have been strange to see modern day Rose McGowan in the movie. Um, she doesn't really look the same, but I think that the meta-ness, to touch back on something you said a while ago, because we're talking about the meta-ness of it all, and I think that the
Yeah.
meta-ness of this movie was, um, I noticed on my first watch there was a lot of references to New York, like about like New York, New York, New York, and I get on my second watch like that was the meta-ness of this was that Sydney wasn't in New York and that Nev Campbell wasn't in Scream 6, and
Mhm.
so um like that's the whole point of this movie. That's the whole reason for what happens and everything like that. It just seems like such a silly motivation and yeah, but I remember my first watch being so annoyed. I was like, why does this movie keep trying to make Scream 6, like New York City. It's like, well, you weren't in New York. And it's like, well, what happened in New York? And it's like, stop trying to make New York happen. Like, stop trying to make whatever, like, we're over that now. But then by the end of the movie, we find out that's really the reason's motivation for killing was that she wasn't in New York. So,
Hmm.
but I
They
didn't know if it was because they wanted to tie in that part, the 5 and 6 to this to seven,
mm.
but it felt very forced. But then by the end, I was like, oh, okay, it was
I
for a
think they're
reason.
still like trying to make a very conscious effort to have everything be consistent, just like in terms of like continuity and have everything lined up. And obviously nobody was paying attention with the Stab franchise of it all, but I mean, I guess to a certain point, like I'm Scream 5 killed Dewey stupidly.
Hmm.
But the like would it be acceptable to like retcon and just like, the way that the Halloween movies ignore these sequels, like whatever timeline you're on. Like I think that that would be more of an issue for me. It's like as a franchise, like own your mistakes and just sort of like move forward with them. So
Hmm.
in a way, like the mentioning of New York, there was like a line like when Gail's just like, Good thing you sat that one out. It was brutal." I just kind of took that to mean like, yeah, it was kind of. But I think that that's sort of like you can interpret that however you want. Like that's sort of like what the some of this dialogue is meant to do. But I don't know. I'm happy that everything still exists in like one continuous timeline. But yeah, for sure. I totally spaced. I don't know where we are.
Yeah, no, I mean, but yeah, I don't know if many movies could get away with like a Halloween situation where you could just have different timelines. I think that's a very rare
Yeah.
situation to that franchise. But yeah, no, I think everything definitely has to flow. I just feel like maybe Mindy and Chad and like the New York angle and stuff, I don't know, like maybe that was like part of the original script. And then they kept that in there when they did all the rewrites. Like maybe Kevin came
Mhm.
and he added all the Sydney and all the Tatum and all the heart of this movie, but then they had to like, oh, well, we already paid the actor Jasmine,
Yeah.
and I don't know like what it was, but it felt like they were already signed on and like they had to be used for some reason because
It
they,
might have felt like it did seem like maybe there was something contractual
yeah, it felt
about it.
contractual. Like they
Yeah.
were contractually obligated
But
to have you guys in this.
but the thing is, because like so Melissa Barrera had like come forward and say like because said that she did not get fired. She just wasn't rehired. She was contracted for 5 and 6. This is what she
Yeah.
said. Like there are interviews of her saying this and speaking on it. So I don't know why they would contract um, Mason and Jasmine for 3 if Melissa was only contracted for 2. So I, I hear what you're saying and it feels like that, but I think that it was more of a case of the studio or whomever just being like, well, we need to like have some sort of, we need to like, there are fans of 5 and 6 and we want to get them to come back to this movie too. Like there needs to be some sort of connective tissue.
Yeah, because there
Um,
are fans of six. I know
yeah.
maybe not here on the Cherry Picker, but I know they're out there. I've
Well,
seen
I mean, there's
reactions. I've watched
there are
reaction
fans
videos.
there are fans of 5 and 6 on the cherry. Like not me, but like
Yeah.
everyone has their own ranking, and some people really like 6, some people really like
Well,
5.
I mean, maybe I'm just judging by the polls that we saw here on the cherry on
Right.
Patreon, but
Hmm.
the rankings, I mean, that everyone did. But
Angelica had mentioned that there is no mention of Sam or Tara in the movie, and they don't
true.
outright state their names, but they do bring up like the fact of like it's the idea of like a past killer having an illegitimate daughter. That's something that's a line that's spoken.
Yeah.
Hmm. But
Doesn't Gail say at one point, Sam is fucking dead to me? No, I'm just kidding. No, she
no.
didn't.
Well,
Um,
there's the scene that happens now. Quote, I guess like Gail and Sydney decide that they have to go to this asylum where this Carl Gibbs character
yes.
was. Like that's where they're gonna find the clues and everything, and it leads them there.
Hmm.
And Ethan Embry, who plays Marco, who's like the I guess the supervisor of this place, is kind of very eager to like take them on a tour. He's like, "Well, the police were just here, and I showed them everything, but yeah, I may as well take you down to this room
Yeah,
too."
I was wondering if that was because they're celebrities. Like, do you think that he was just giving them special treatment because they were celebrities? Because I'm like, that's not very. He's supposed to be the manager. Like, it's
Yeah.
not very professional.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know if it was just because they're celebrities or because like he's the killer and he wanted to give them some false information.
Oh, absolutely. That's what it was.
And that was just such a ridiculous scene. I'm so sorry anyone that liked that scene, but I didn't even get what his story because he wasn't telling it about like Stu. He was saying the John Doe of it all, and then like I didn't understand his story about Stu. Maybe you
So
can explain it to me a little better.
the my takeaway from it was that like he was just feeding them misinformation. So like first we see the Carl's room or whatever, and I
Mhm.
loved that there's like that's the framed photograph that we saw in the previews that we thought was like the behind the scenes cast promotion of from
Yes.
Scream 1 where they're all sitting at the fountain. No, it wasn't. That was digitally put in there, which I'm
Yay.
glad.
Hmm.
Instead, it's like
You're right.
this old photo of Tori Spelling, like this like
Yes.
modeling shot of her kind of like laying on the floor
Uh-huh.
with her legs
In
up
black and
and
white.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think was it black and white, but
Was it? I don't know.
no.
No, maybe
Um,
not.
but
Okay.
just
Look
kind of
old.
funny that
Yeah.
yeah, it was back from like that era of like
Hmm.
1997 or 1998 whenever Stab came out.
Hmm.
But yeah, they're looking in his room or they're just standing at the entrance to the room and then he mentions John Doe because they show him the picture of Stu on the FaceTime calls, and he's like, "Oh, that's John Doe," because we don't know his name. He checked out 2 weeks ago, and I think it was just one of those things where he can conveniently, like, he's gaslighting them to believe this bullshit
But
story because they're
wouldn't he know that that's Stu? Like, why would he like,
no, he knows that it's Stu. I'm saying that like what he was doing is he was trying to make them think that it was Stu.
okay.
And they're like that's the thing. It's just because this is a very underbaked killer scheme and all that because like the 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 idea of it being stew really serves no purpose. Like the in the past, like every killer has sort of like the the patsy, the fall guy. Like in the last movie, they were like planning to pin it on some anonymous Reddit user, which was the one of the flimsiest things. But in Scream 5, they wanted to make it seem like Sam was the killer. In 4, Jill wanted it to make it seem like it was Trevor and Charlie. In 3, I think Roman wanted to frame Sydney. And then in 2, Mrs. Loomis was going to frame Mickey to make it seem like he did it all. And then in the first movie, it was I think they were just trying to make it seem like it was the dad who snapped and killed Sydney and then himself. So their scheme effectively is like trying to make everyone believe that Stu is alive, and they were going to, I guess, sell that idea, but and it doesn't make any sense, and we'll get more into that when we get to the climax. But at least in terms of like for Sydney and Gail's benefit, he in the scene like wanted them to think that Stu was still alive because like Sydney had just called the Woodsboro coroner and they said that the intake form was missing
Yeah.
and they had no idea, like they couldn't track if like he was like actually buried, and this guy's telling the story of like this guy was like living on the streets, we don't know what his past is, et cetera and so forth. Like he was just feeding them misinformation to tow this narrative.
That's what I'm saying is I get what he was trying to do, but why is Stu being called John Doe at all? Like, wouldn't the whole world know who this person was? Like, say, like if they were trying to peddle the narrative that he did survive the first
Yeah.
movie, then like the whole world would know like who Stu Macher is. Like
Yeah.
being put into this like mental hospital. He wouldn't be like labeled John Doe. Like he wouldn't be written down as John Doe. He would be like he would have a very identical his fingerprints would be in the
Yeah.
system. So I didn't understand the whole John Doe at all. I'm like, was and then like yeah, he was like all over on the streets of California. When did this happen?
Well, I
Before
don't
he
know
came to
if
the hospital?
yeah.
Before or after he went to the hospital?
Well,
That story
it's
didn't make sense to me at all.
okay. Well, no, that's fair. I don't know that they would fingerprint like a corpse in Stu's case, like with Scream. I think that they were really
So they're
just
trying to say
trying
that
to
they thought he was dead. Sorry, no, I want to clarify this. Like, are you trying
yeah.
to say now that they thought he was dead and then he somehow climbed out of the morgue and then he ran out and escaped and then he ended up at the hospital much later in life and so they called him John Doe? Or like no,
Exactly.
because well that doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. I thought maybe he did survive the TV crushing and they just didn't want to tell the people, they didn't want to tell the masses for whatever reason. They just sent him to a psych ward.
I mean,
That would have made more sense.
I think
But then they would know
the
that it's Schumacher.
yes, the idea
Sorry if I'm
here is
screaming.
yeah, you got really heated.
Because I was like, no, I
The
need to get this across. Like, I don't know if like we're on the same page here. Like, I don't understand what the point of
yeah.
this scene was.
Yeah. So this is just like this is kind of like the fan pandering of sort of like the people who have like always expressed like they want to see Stu return. They think he's still alive. So this is their way of satisfying that and but at the same time like satisfying the regular fan base by not going like that crazy with it. So in a way, I think that all that's why I wish that it was just him because it feels like they're just doing something half-assed. They're trying to please everybody. And when you try to please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. So I don't know that like the Stew Truthers, as they call themselves, are going to be satisfied with the fact that like it's like don't as Judge Judy would say, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. If you're gonna present stew to me, give me stew. And for everyone else, it's sort of like, oh, we have to like go through this narrative that maybe Stu is still alive, only to see at the end that like, okay, good, it's not him. Only like my dissatisfaction with the killer reveal by the end makes me think like, well, it should have just been Stu at this point, because like these people are no substitutes for him. But in terms of like all of that, of just sort of like trying to toe this false narrative that Stu somehow was not properly um like booked into the morgue or whatever, or his body was swapped. Like it's just like conspiracy theories. And they're trying to make that seem legitimate here, at least in
Mm,
terms of what Marco is doing and in the way that he describes it to Sydney and Gale.
okay.
Yeah. But the
Okay.
idea with him in the asylum was that like he was living on the streets and then he attacked some high school girl. At least that's what he said. And that's how
Yeah.
he ended up in there.
Yes. And he had no memory that he was Stu. And he just, yeah. I don't know. Whatever. Whatever.
Yeah.
I guess. But so Anna Camp, she went insane and then she went in there and met Marco. And
Carl, yeah.
well, Carl was a patient there, so like Marco was their like boss, and he was like,
Hmm.
"Hey, you two in here, you're both onto something."
Yeah.
And he decided to become a killer too.
I don't know. It's just like the backstory, and this is why I appreciate Scream 2 so much because we don't get any interaction between Mickey and Mrs. Loomis throughout the movie until the end. But like their history is so rich. Like I just like I know exactly how everything played out. Like it was very it's a complex situation, but they were able to streamline it very uh simply. And because of that, like you can headcanon so much. With these folks, it's like, wait, who's the what did like everything that you're confused about now, it doesn't make any sense. It's really kind of grasping at straws to try to make a thing happen here. And I
Hmm.
mean, like, we've just had a killer like Carl, who's like had like 2 seconds of screen time, and we've never we he's hasn't interacted with anyone, never like spoken to anyone. And now we have the our next killer here, and this is his only scene until he's revealed later on. And it really feels like cheap. Like I've heard complaints about Mickey and
Hmm.
Mrs. Loomis in Scream 2 because they're not in the movie very much. I think that Mickey is very front loaded in Scream 2. Like he disappears for the last half, but Mrs. Loomis is like she's periodically showing up and like every time she shows up, she's adding value. Like it's not
Hmm.
screen quantity, but it's screen quality. And what's happening here is just like we're being introduced to these characters who we're finding out are the killers, and they're giving us absolutely nothing.
I totally agree. Even like when he took off his mask and we got the reveal, it was like, hey, like he has this like sadness to his face, like, hey,
Yeah,
it's
it's
me.
me.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's just me. Like his name's like Ned or something. Like he's like, yeah, or Dale.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, it's just me, So yeah. And then he dies like immediately.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, should we how far are we? Oh, we haven't talked about like the Gale interview yet.
Well, that's yeah, I mean that's sort of like the everything that happens at this point is like where Sydney is like, okay, I'm going to give you what you've been asking
Waiting
for 30
for
years. Yeah.
a big lesbian kiss.
Which
That
I love the fact that like this is sort of set up. This is sort of like a thing that happens. And that they're doing it on live TV nonetheless.
hmm Yeah, Gail in this movie didn't do it for me.
Oh
I'm
wow.
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think it's exactly what I said earlier. Um, she is losing her subtlety, and I think it's a Courtney Cox thing. I think it's just she was giving me almost like Harrison Ford vibes in the new Indiana Jones movie, where like every line has to be a has to have a punch to it because like you feel like you're back in it, you're acting, and like I just feel like every like
Mhm.
she had a lot more subtlety when she was Gale in the first four movies. Maybe even a little bit of the fifth one, but I feel like every line in this movie, she had to put so much into it. Every single line had to like have a punch and had to be like funny and everything. And
Yeah.
she could have just said it with a little bit more like chill. Like when the reporter guy comes up to her and she's like, "Oh fuck the fuck off," and she like, storms away. I was like,
Hmm.
that wasn't fun. Like that was just that sounded like she just is an older woman that wants to swear and be funny. And it just, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of Jamie Lee Curtis a little bit, like,
Hmm.
or Harrison Ford. So it's not a woman thing. I'm not saying anything about women. Just saying, like, I just think it's as actors age, they sometimes lose their subtlety and they put too much punch into everything because they want to be as good as they used to be. And that's what it was giving me a little bit. And I'm sorry if that offends anyone, but that's how I felt.
You're just saying what's on your mind. I don't think that it's an acting thing, like in the same way that you're saying this. Like, I think that I don't know why I'm like very protective of
I know
actors,
you are.
but like
Oh, Gail, especially.
the well of like Courtney and all that, but like
Hmm
and I mean like Elizabeth Berkley and Showgirls, clearly, but it's you're talking about dialogue. Like you're like this is stuff that's written into the script. Like this is the writer who's writing these lines for her. She's delivering them. And if like there's a line like fuck right the fuck
She
off or
could say
whatever
that
it
way
is,
more subtle. She would fuck the
but
fuck off and just walk
I
away.
mean, but
Way
that's a
cool.
okay, I understand that, but like this is Kevin Williamson or Guy Busick writing this, and then Kevin Williamson directing her to say that line in a certain way. So it's, whatever she ends up doing, it's ultimately the director who made the choice to have that line be like that. So I just like I can't like I don't know that I haven't seen Indiana Jones, so I don't know that I can agree with that of just like actors as they age where they lose the subtlety. I think that it's just really sort of like the Scream universe and just like the way it's written. Because as I was saying earlier, a lot of Sydney's dialogue here, she's cussing at everything. Like she's when she leaves Tatum's room after they have their little argument the next
Mm,
morning, and she closes the door and she says, "Fucking motherhood." And it's just like,
that's funny.
did we need her to say the F word there? Every like so many lines in this movie is Sydney swearing, where it feels like what I was saying before in like earlier movies Sydney didn't swear a lot, but when she did, it landed. Like especially in Scream
Mm.
3, when it's just like, fuck you, like
Yes, I
that
love
exchange
that.
between them.
Yeah.
So like I don't agree in terms of like this being a Courtney thing. I think it's just the writing. I think that they know that like fans really loved Sydney's "Don't fuck with the original" and I'm Sydney fucking Prescott. Of course I have a gun. So that is just like the writers being like, okay, well, more of this because this is what fans really like. But like the reason why fans like it is because it's a moment that is earned or at least like comes out of nowhere. It's used sparingly. And in this movie with like all the stuff with like Gale and Sydney where they are like, playing it really big, is because it's just like by design, that's where like the script writing and all that has moved towards.
Totally cool. Yeah, and I do not hate old people. So I just wanted to say that again. I saw someone ask that, and no, I just think that like that's just my opinion. I just think that I've noticed it again, not just with Courtney Cox, just with like Harrison Ford and with just some other actors, just like almost putting too much emphasis into some of their dialogue, like as they've like played a character later in life, like replaying a character. And so
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I just feel like maybe it was. Maybe it was completely directorial. Maybe Kevin was like, "Yeah, just give it your all every single time, Courtney, because you're
Mm.
Gale, and we want you to constantly be like, yeah, like haha, like I don't know. Maybe that was it. But I feel like at this point, Courtney Cox is an executive producer, and I feel like she kind of goes into these movies now like the Jamie Lee Curtis of it all, like just kind of like, yeah, back in it. We're back here. We're gonna
Yeah.
serve it up. I don't know.
Yeah. ACSD 25. Mickey told her in two, oh, so vulgar. Did Billy let you talk to him like that? Um, so like little moments like that for sure. Past my prime. Fuck you. I messaged Zach telling
Yes.
him I imagine him as Chucky saying, oh, okay, you want a Chucky? Like, past my prime? Fuck you.
Literally exactly him.
Yeah, I really do love the scene though, this interview because it does like it takes unexpected turns. I mean, I saw like the TV spots and the trailers that kind of showed it, but just sort of seeing the impact of it because these are two characters that have
Mm.
known each other for such a long time and like Gail's like asked her like how would you describe our friendship and Sydney says complicated but enduring
Yeah, I like
which I
that.
think,
I love
which
that.
yeah, like I love the evolution of these characters, and that's like obviously something that was missing in six. But I think it was like the strongest aspect of Scream Five. Like if I have to really find something to compliment about that movie that I really loved, it's them, and I feel like it's almost like a with that movie, it was like a less is more approach because we had all these scenes where like legacy characters were coming together. And not that I don't like the scene between Gale and Dewey in that movie, but it does feel very written. It does feel like the whole aspect of him like being cowardice and like leaving New York City or whatever and going back to Woodsboro like felt forced and all the drama between them. But then you have Sydney showing up at the hospital and they literally exchange like no words together, but there's just sort of this physical acting. It's just like on their faces. And, I kind of like fall apart in that moment because they're just like acknowledging the loss together. And it
Mm.
just goes to show like for a writer, like less is more sometimes. Like your dialogue is so bad. Sorry, no offense. In Scream 5, that the strongest scene is the one where there's hardly any dialogue at all.
Yes, and it's all just
Yeah.
subtle mannerisms and
Yeah.
yeah, and I liked Courtney Cox in that one. I liked her performance as
But I mean,
Gale.
even here, like I feel like at least for like this interview and all that, like I love the dialogue. I love like this.
Hmm.
If there's Kevin doesn't like I'm not getting the Kevin that we got in like one and two, because he is so skillful at dialogue. But there are moments in here, and I think like especially like in this scene, just sort of like the back and forth about everything, and like Gail really pushing that, and even at the beginning, her just saying like, "Are you gonna go easy on me?" Just like, no, I've been waiting 30 years for this thing, and
Hmm.
3, 2, 1, go! Like just get right into it.
Yeah.
Um, so I love all that. If I had a complaint about this scene, I mean, other than what I mentioned before, just like it should have been Dewey that called in, but like why did they made such a big deal about this being on live television and then like it it I guess getting patched through to the affiliates and all of that like Sydney walking away or just like walking into the corner and then Gail just being like, okay, I guess that's over. We're ending the broadcast. Why did the broadcast need to end? Like they made such a big deal about it. It would have been cool if like Stu, the killer
Mm.
as Stu did call in onto the news. And especially if they're trying to sell to the world that this is Stu, like would they not want that to be seen on the news? So it just felt like it was kind of because there was this whole thing and then like the Mark Consuelos character was just like, no, no, we have to be on air to do this. I'm like, well, why couldn't it have just been written that way? Um,
Right? Or why couldn't they just like turn the cameras on or something? I don't know.
yeah. Well, I mean, they had Gail like basically ended it. She's like, okay, that's over.
Yeah. And their
He
mics weren't
was,
on. True.
yeah, he was underused as well. Like I was expecting more with him. Like he could have been like a victim in the movie. He could have like gotten a kill scene. There's all of these like sort of like smaller peripheral characters that are like make up the town life
Hmm.
that I think like, we could have had rather than like the plethora of like nonsense that we did. And, if he was going to be there, I would have liked to have seen more with him, even if like maybe there was a ghost face attack at the TV station
Mm.
or something like that. But
Um, there was one shot that I really loved. I loved when Ghostface calls at the station, right? And
yeah,
so Nev like Sydney turns around and then Gail, it's just a quick shot of Gail turning around. Did you notice that shot? And like she's I think she's it's right after she took some of her pills.
hmm,
And then all of a sudden Ghostface calls and she spins and her hair spins with her. And it's just such a beautiful, like such like a gay man shot. Like just like so funny that it's just like so glamorous that she spins around and like her hair
yeah.
spins with it. And it's like the
You know
phone
who
ringing.
has the
Loved it.
best spin, the best hair flip spin of the
Sarah Michelle
franchise?
Gellar? Who?
Hers is really good,
Yeah,
but
hers was great.
Kelly Rutherford in Scream 3.
Mm,
The when
okay.
the Creed song comes on and she's just like flips her hair, like turns
Yeah.
around. And she's really good at it. Like if because she was on Melrose Place, obviously my
Hmm.
heart. And in the opening credits, whenever like her seasons were on, because they have like all the cast members are there and it's like slow motion, and her like face card is like her flipping around in her hair, uh, doing that with like the spin. So I thought it was like
Hmm.
funny that they had that like in the movie
Scream 3.
and on Melrose Place as well. But anyway, that's totally irrelevant. It's neither here nor there. But no, I didn't. I'll look for it the next time with Gail. But
Yeah, I loved it because it was like a classic like spin around and the hair just like flipped with it. It looks really
flip.
great.
This is the part of the end of the scene. This is where I think things really kind of go to shit, for lack of a better term, because we've got two things here. Gail tells Mark Consuelos, Robbie Rivers, call the police and have them go to Parker's Tavern.
Hmm.
Um, where the hell were the police for the rest of the movie? Like, was that call ever made? It's just like that felt like an oversight. But then Sydney runs out of the station, and mind you, like she's not driving. Like they came in Gail's
Hmm.
van.
Gail's car. Hmm.
Gail has the keys or whatever, but Sydney like runs out. She goes to the car and she opens it and it's locked. And this was so confusing to me because it's like maybe there's more like it's explained in the script or something of like did she forget that it wasn't her car or that she didn't have the keys? But then she proceeds to run into town on foot. And it just doesn't make any sense. Like, would
No.
she not like wait for Gail or go back into the station and be like, Gail, like let's haul ass or give me
Yes.
the keys or something. So like for her to like know that she has to get downtown, and who knows how far away this is, that she would rather start running on foot than to go back in and be practical and like get the car keys or anything like that. So it just the logic of that, it just felt like things were being forced to get them to happen a certain way. Like we needed Sydney to run into town, which I would have actually rather that like Gail had been involved because Gail just disappears at this point until the very
Yeah.
last scene.
So does Gail just hang out at the news station the rest of the movie? Because she tells
Hmm.
him to call the she tells Mark to call the police, and then she spins around and she's like, Sydney, Sydney, and she
Hmm.
knows Sydney doesn't have a car. She knows that they're all the way
Yeah.
over there. So like, wouldn't she just run right outside and then like
Yeah.
look down the street, see Sydney's on foot running like an idiot down the street, and then be like, hold on, I'm gonna just like drive up and just offer her my car really quick, or go
Yeah.
with her. Um, yeah,
Well,
maybe
this
she didn't
because
want to. Maybe she was afraid.
yeah, this is where
Yeah.
there's just so much because it's like we have to remember as well that Mark, like character Mark, at this point has been missing for hours. Like he is the sheriff of the town,
Hmm.
and he is completely AWOL. Nobody has heard from him.
Missing at home. Like he's literally just at his house in the garage. Isn't he
Yeah,
just, yeah.
nobody's looking for him. Like the deputies, like the town is
No.
on curfew. Everything has been shut down. And I mean, we've established like who knows how many deputies are in this town, but we've established at least two. There's the dude and then the woman that we see throughout the movie, and like they're like driving around at certain times or like questioning people. It's even though they were like kind of like bordering on NPC. I mean, they are NPC for all intents and purposes. But here's another case where it's like, let's not like overpack this movie with a bunch of like tropey friends and Chad and Mindy. Like you could have made the deputies a little bit like more of a character role and they could have had a death scene, and then that would have explained
Mm,
why there wasn't really a police presence, because like the killers could have gone and like taken care of all of the deputies, or at least like those two more prominent ones, because at this point, like the downtown of Pine Grove or whatever is a ghost town. And regardless of that, it doesn't feel realistic to me, because like a curfew does not mean that people go into their homes and then like disappear into a pod. They don't go into like a sensory deprivation tank or anything. Like they are in their homes and they can still hear shit that's going on around them. And I mean, even if like who knows how much um residential area is in this like strip of downtown or how far things are away, but like I was thinking of House of Wax, because there's a
yeah,
lot of
empty
like scenes
town.
of, yeah, but like by design it's empty, like that's part of the premise of the movie. And you know, one could argue like in Scream 2, like after Hallie has been killed and Sydney's like running back to the school and she's like, you know, ends up going into the theater, you could say like, well, how did she end up there? That is a more like urban sort of area compared to this that is completely suburban. So it's almost like have you heard of like the idea of the bystander effect?
Maybe. What is it?
So essentially what it means that it's like if someone is in danger and like calling for help, if there are more people around, then y you are less likely to do something about it, because like
Mm,
the psychological the psychology is that there are other people who might hop on that first. So like when you think about like Ghostface in New York and stuff like that, and we kind of touched upon this when we're covering Scream 6, is that neighbors in the building or anything, or like people in the bodega or people on the street, are less likely to come to Sam and Tara's aid, because there's a crowd of people. Someone else is the idea is like someone else will take care of it. But if there are fewer people around, and there's a crisis, it's almost like psychologically you feel more empowered to step in and do something about that. So I would imagine, and this is not like bullshit. This is like statistical and psychological.
yeah.
Like it's a proven thing. Like you can look up the bystander effect. So in a situation in like Scream 7 here of Tatum running around town screaming, because at one point she has her like Jennifer Love Hewitt moment almost of just like, somebody help me, like he's trying to kill me. Like people would be coming out, like that someone would be around and do something. So it just feels like the lack of the police presence, and nobody, like the fact that like okay, it's a curfew but people are not just disappearing from their homes, they are still there. It just feels really lazy to me. It's just kind of like the sloppy kind of writing that forces this situation that would never happen otherwise.
It seemed like maybe that one particular street is like supposed to be like not residential whatsoever. Like no one lives there at all.
Hmm.
That is just businesses. And because businesses closed early, not a
Hmm.
soul is left on that
Yeah.
street. And no one snuck out. No one said, "You know what? This curfew, I'm gonna sneak out and like ignore it." No one said that.
Yeah. Well, we did have
Um,
the character sneak out and open up the tavern. So it's just like that also begs the question, like, are deputies not
true. There's
patrolling the
that.
streets to make sure like a curfew is not just sort of like, all right, it's 6 o'clock, everything's closed. Now we're gonna go home too. Like, no, they enforce it. They'll see to it that people are not out
Hmm.
partying or like businesses are open or anything. So like this is the point of the movie where it really starts to piss me off, because it feels like none of this needs to be happening, especially the fact that you've got all these characters gathered at this tavern for purposes of like eating pizza and French fries and basically telling each other that, you know, you might be the killer and you might be the killer.
Where are the parents? Why not be at home with someone's parents? Like, why not be like, like, why be alone?
Yeah. And they introduced the parent, like Chloe, we saw her parents with her at the theater when they were doing the whole like after McKenna Grace's murder. And they were
mm.
questioning like, well, where were you? And where were you?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
yada, yada.
I want to bring up really quick, just so that it doesn't go away. Brian James, no one will ever top Helen Shivers' chase scene. I'll just say that. He was saying that
Yeah.
Tatum's chase through the town reminded him of Helen Shivers, but it's less iconic. And I'm like that.
I
Nothing will
think
ever be as iconic as Helen Shivers' chase
I
scene.
think that this
I
was
think
not a good chase. Like if you want to
it
call this a chase
wasn't.
scene, because like there were things they could have done to make this more chasier. Like for instance, like she's running to the coffee shop and like obviously she knows the code because it's the family shop. What would have been tense is if like Ghostface was like right on her the whole time and she like runs up to the thing and she's putting in the code and can't get the code and then finally at the last minute gets the code, goes in, closes the door and locks it, and then she just turns around and Ghostface like does the thing and taps on the thing and then it's like I know the code too and gets in and like
Hmm.
that would have been tense rather than having her like secretly like sneak in and then just sort of hide in the shadows and like allow Sydney calling to be the thing that tipped off the killer. Like I'd rather like stay in the chase, like stay in
Yeah.
the action of this. But they do this thing where they split up the action because it starts like they go out to the car and he's gonna drive her to the station to see Sydney. Um, and then all that stuff goes down with them. And when she comes out, Ghostface appears and starts chasing her. And then we cut back to the tavern. So we're already like we're starting a chase scene and we're interrupting it. And now we're
Yeah.
dealing with all this stuff at the tavern. And I mean, we kind of already touched upon like everything that was happening here, but the Chad and Mindy again just being stupid and like even recognizing their stupidity and being like, oh, we shouldn't have let her go, should we have? Like, with him and they're wandering around looking for this way out. And I don't know what was up with like the blocking of this shot, but Ghostface was like when they were in the kitchen and
Hmm.
Ghostface is attacking Chloe and she like gets the knife or whatever. Ghostface was behind her and then suddenly she turns around and it's Chad and he gets stabbed.
Oh yeah. No,
I
that
hated
whole
that.
I didn't like any of that. I didn't like any of that part. I feel like that whole chunk of the movie was like from Guy, and I just didn't like that.
But it's just like Chad and Mindy are walking in, they can hear like a struggle, they can hear a tussle, and they're not going to be like, "What's going on? Like, where are you? Like, is everything okay back here?" Anything like that. Like, it felt forced, and then they just sort of like topple over onto one another, Chad and Mindy, and they're like, "Oh, we've
I
got
know.
new wounds." Like, and,
We're the twins and we're like let's curl up together and be
yeah.
twins hurt together.
And again, it just feels like tonally because like the stuff that like Chloe and Lucas are like they're just kind of stupid characters. But like still like their death scenes are like at least played a little bit more serious, like in terms of like what's happening. So it's just weird to have this like tonal shift to go from like the goofiness of like Chad and Mindy, like, oh, we got stabbed again, sort of thing. And then we go out here and she gets the glass in her neck, and then he's getting at first I thought like because I just had a feeling from the start because of what we said that Jessica was the killer. So I thought like that he was going to be the killer too because he's her son, and like he was doing the fake out now when he's like I'm gonna go, I'll go do it, I'll go save the day, and comes out and he's been stabbed. I thought that that was like another like
Yes.
Quinn
Yes, me too.
moment.
I agree.
Um, and then it turned out not to be, but like she kills her own son. Like this part of the movie is like it's almost like overkill. It does like you were talking about Terrifier. It feels very Terrifier. I don't know if it feels like Scream. And the CGI is very distracting.
Yeah, like and her excuse for it during her reveal is that like and her son had to die because he reminds her too much of her ex-husband. And that was just so stupid because like she kept her son with him the entire time they go to the cafe together in the beginning like when there's a murder with when Gail hits the ghost face like they're out together like they're very much like a we're in this together mother and son relationship and it just seemed weird to me that she was on such a rampage that she was like drags her son across the floor and kills him worse than everybody else. Like kills him in
Yeah.
such a horrible way that's so goofy and over the top and felt fine about that. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, it just felt weird
And
that that
that's
was her.
I mean I haven't like done like a who killed who analysis at this point, but
We're all waiting for it.
I'm pretty sure that's her because we know that Marco is the one that chased after Tatum and because he's the one that got shot because he mentioned it with the bulletproof
Yes.
vest. So
Yeah,
this
and
would
she
have
says
been
like my son had to die because so I
yeah.
think she was saying I killed him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so she's definitely the one that killed him here. But then that begs the question, like he's sort of been presented as this suspect throughout the movie. So like would it not have made more sense to frame him because he's like the one that's like obsessed with Sydney. Like they could have easily done that. Like even if that was her thing, it's just like she hates her son because he reminds her of her ex-husband. That's,
Hmm.
she wouldn't just kill him or whatever. Like she could like frame him as well. But you know what would have been really interesting?
What?
Um, let's just say the two of them are the killer. Like forget Marco. Marco's not a killer in this scenario.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, that Jessica and her son are the killers. But then we find out because everyone's like, well, we don't want like another family thing, or like because we just had like a mother or like the father and children in six. What if Lucas was a serial killer that she hired to pose as his son? Like, so they're like living this like fake suburban life, and it's just like I'm the mom and you're the son, like almost like Mrs. Loomis and Mickey in
Mm.
of like her hiring him in Scream 2. I don't know, there's something like really perverse about that. Of just like posing as a family and like the neighbors to Sydney that I think would have been like a really good reveal.
Yeah. No, I definitely would have liked that. And
Yeah.
I would have liked to, especially if she was related to Stu. I feel like that would have just tied in more of
Yeah.
the beginning. Or even if like maybe she hated the effect that Stu being a killer had on her growing up, and like the shame that she felt or whatever,
Yeah.
and this was her chance to fucking burn it
This
all
was,
down.
yeah, this was the movie where it's just like they could have, like, where a family connection would have worked really well. But I feel like they felt that they blew their load with that on Scream 6, and they knew like, well, nobody wants to see another family
Family,
killer
yeah.
again. Whereas just like this would have been the like, at least if this was Leslie Mocker, like that would have been good. And then Scream 6, could have gone a different route rather than being Richie's family. Um, but yeah, his kill is just kind of it just looks weird, and like the beer coming out, like I don't even know if it would work that way. Of just like someone was saying to me that the beer would just sort of like get stuck and like sort of like spill out down
Yeah.
the thingamajig. Um, but
Maybe that was
you
like
know,
maybe they're like, you know, it's the seventh movie in the franchise. Let's just do something balls to the wall crazy,
yeah,
and then we're gonna find out that it's his own mother that actually chose to do that to him.
yeah,
Um, and
hmm
so then the very next scene is, oh well, I did want to say that I don't know if it's because Resident Evil 9. Shout out to anyone who likes Resident Evil Requiem,
mm,
who's playing Resident Evil. I bought it and oh my, I just beat it yesterday. I played it all weekend long, obsessed.
I've been too
Um,
busy.
Literally
Rub it
obsessed.
in, yeah,
I spent all my time playing it. So
yeah.
yeah, you're right. But because of that, I had like video game on the mind, and so the whole like police station felt like a video game to me. Like Tatum, like having to do like a crouch, like the what's that called?
Oh, the coffee
Sleuths.
shop.
Yeah, at the coffee
Yeah,
shop. Sorry,
yeah.
that's what I mean. Yes, at the coffee shop. That whole scene felt like a video game scene to me. Like a stealth mission. Like she's stealth first, like hiding out from Ghostface, and then she like runs into
hmm
that room and like move table in front of the thing. So the whole thing I could just see like a video game, Resident
Yeah.
Evil 9 being that. And so then
Where's a
that
Scream
happens.
video game?
There should be. I would love
Yeah.
that. Like they could literally like oh, that'd be such a fun game
Yeah.
because it could be just like a Resident Evil game, but make it Scream related. Like you have puzzles, you have to escape a house, like a big house. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Let's make
Adrian
this game.
Phillips is saying Anna wasn't camp enough. I mean, I think she was overly
I think
camp,
she was a
but
little too
I
camp.
I think Adrian's just
Ugh.
being sarcastic with that one. But
Yeah.
Angelica saying they should have just made it Leslie, predictable, but still would have been better than what they subjected us to. I think like in a case like this, I think I would have rather had predictability than nonsense.
Yeah. Then
I
like a
don't like
rushed, it felt very rushed and
mhm,
confusing. Like I had to see it again to really understand what they were
same,
going for.
same, absolutely. Yeah, so that like everything in the coffee shop and with Sydney, I like in theory. I like the idea of like her, like I'm not always a fan of like technology being used and like just like the CCTV and like, oh no,
Hmm.
he's still there and do this. There was something about it that felt very like 24 Jack Bauer to me. Um, which is fine. Like it did feel like out of this franchise, but it seemed like they were focusing too much on the phone call and really kind of lost track of Ghostface because it didn't feel suspenseful in this moment at all. Like he's just sort of like kind of pacing back and forth and like banging on the wall, but there's no like progress of like getting in there. I at
Hmm.
no point did I feel like anything that Tatum was doing was necessary in terms of, like getting the gun and like shooting through the wall. I think that Sydney could have literally just been like, just
Wait,
stay in there. I'm on
yeah,
my
just
way.
hang out.
I'm gonna take care of him when I get there.
You're literally
Um,
fine in there, so just don't waste any
yeah,
bullets and hang out in
yeah.
there.
I mean, I like that she shot him through the wall, and I even like that she went back out to like shoot him in the head. And I mean, like Sydney told her to. But it didn't. I needed tension. Like I needed something to feel like the urgency was there in order for Tatum to have to do any of this. So it did
Mm.
feel a little forced in that situation. Um, but the there's some like the action in this movie, like when someone is like going like hand to hand with Ghostface. I don't know, like it's choreographed really well here, where I feel like in six it really wasn't. Like when I think of like the Gale chasing and like the pot or the pan or whatever and like all this stuff. So like everything when she goes out into the coffee shop from the office and Ghostface like gets up and starts attacking her and like all that stuff, that was like I liked that. Like I thought that it was really well staged and choreographed. So I don't know if you had an opinion on it at all.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think she should. I mean, it kind of annoyed me because I would have just like after she shot Ghostface, it was just kind of like hang out in there, just wait. Like your mom's running for some reason,
Yeah.
on foot. Like they could have called the police and been like, get to the coffee shop right now. Like and
Why was no one
but I
calling the
did like.
police?
But I do like that when she came out and like I'm glad it wasn't like too long of a hesitation. I'm glad that like, whoever that was his name, Marco, was laying there and he was
Yeah.
probably like crap, like I don't want her to shoot me in the head. So she's walking out and he can tell that she's crying, she's like hesitating on the phone. So I'm glad that it was quick, that he just jumped up right away and grabbed it and it wasn't
Hmm.
this like slow, because then that would have been too like Scream 5 where it was really like luck that Dewey didn't kill what's her
Yeah.
name?
Hmm.
Because of the phone call from Gail. So
Yeah.
that was like a by luck thing. So this one felt much more deliberate.
But again, it just sort of begs the question of like the police of it all, because like they both have cell phones, and I know that like Sydney calls Mark and he doesn't pick up. She doesn't know where he is, but like that's the thing. You can't get in touch with your husband. Call the deputies. Call another police,
Just
or
call
like
911. Like
For Tatum like being there. Like I
what
know I
happened to
get that
old-fashioned
Sydney's on.
911?
Yeah, I get that Sydney's on the phone, but it just yeah, all this stuff ridiculous. And then that's where we get sort of like the second Ghostface appears behind her, and they got the slow motion into like capturing Tatum, and then Sydney kind of like coming in and getting that last call of just sort of like, "Where's my daughter? Where the heart is?" And like, all right, we're going back home.
I'm gonna
And
stick a knife through it. Like,
can I
okay.
just okay, so I've seen a lot of comments, and I'm sorry that I didn't clock who said it. But one of the issues that I saw with this movie of people talking about, and I agree with, and I mentioned it in like when we were talking about the trailer and all that, was that it sort of has a Hallmark look to it. The movie, like this town, the locations in this like just feel
Mm,
very cheap. Like we've got, I think the theater was a fun location. I think that was probably like the most unique to this movie. I know that we've like been in theaters before in like Scream 2, but at least for this, like it felt like a little bit bigger, like the world of Pine Grove was bigger. But every other location is either Sydney's home
hmm.
or front yard. We've got the coffee shop, we've got Parker's Tavern, and we've got the news station. What else am I forgetting? We go to the asylum for the hospital for like 2 seconds.
Hmm. Um, yeah, just the school. Um,
It
I don't
feels
know.
very small scale, like from where we've been. Like when you think of like the first Scream movie
Hmm.
or the second one or the third one, like even the fourth one, there's like we're going to places that are very like distinctive to those movies. They feel very big. They feel like
Hmm.
it's just like more of like this open universe, and like this is like Scream 5 like has that same like any town very closed in universe kind of vibe. Like thank God, like
Yeah.
it's something that I'll give Scream 6, even though I feel like it's not executed as well as it can be, is that we go to like more interesting locations and stuff. I still feel that they could have been more New York about it. But here it feels very small. It feels very cheap. It feels Hallmark.
Very quaint. And actually, so what's funny is my best friend, her mom owns a cafe in a town in Connecticut. And there's exactly this, like that street where there's all shops and there's like and then her mom's cafe is there. And so it
Hmm.
almost looks like identical to it. Like I was wondering, like, did
Yeah.
they film there in Connecticut? Because that's what it literally looks like. And yeah, it just gave me that like that very suburban, like upper class, upper middle class, like quaint
Hmm.
little town. That's why I was like, no one probably
It's
even lives on that street.
I think that this might be like a backlot, like just a
You think
studio backlot.
so?
Yeah, like there was something about it that felt very fake.
Where did they film again? Atlanta? Or where did they film this?
I can't remember, but
Because I'm
like
trying to think, like maybe it was a studio backlot. Maybe you're right.
yeah, no, there's something about it that looks very backlotty. Um, so it just like that kind of took me out of it too, just in terms of that. I always think of like Desperate Housewives and like their whole
They
like
use that
universe.
street.
Yeah, that street that we see in like everything. I think that
Yeah,
they just did a The Burbs is like they made a television series of that, and I think it's like the
yeah.
exact same like Wisteria Lane
Wisteria
cul-de-sac,
Lane.
but they've like all the houses are painted differently.
Hmm.
And but I even think of like in Buffy, like in Sunnydale, you know, where like the theater is, like that strip of like downtown.
I love
Yeah.
that street so much.
Hmm.
And I love that that is a set. Like when they built that for
Yeah.
season three, like I love that because then like they'll occasionally have a car drive down it. So it's so cute because you
Yeah.
think of like a car going onto the set.
But the thing is,
Um,
this is like for TV, absolutely it works.
yeah, it works.
For like a big blockbuster movie, not so much. So it just like this universe does feel a little small. Let me just get Oofy the troll asks, did anyone else think this was the most boring finale location? Like it's just a tiny backyard in a garage. I
Not
guess
only was it
yeah.
a boring location, but like, why did there have to be the construction stuff? Like, why did there have to be? I guess that was some like so that you could like have people run through and hide and everything like that. But it just made it very unpleasing to look at, you know. And Sydney walks out, and you
Yeah.
just see that behind her is just plastic. I don't know.
I guess it was sort of like for exactly what it was to create these like you know places to hide or more of like
Yeah,
this like
yeah, you're right.
tension building at the end. It was actually it reminded me a little bit of Red Eye, like when because her childhood home
Yes,
like they've got the construction going on there, and I mean they establish it like we're doing work on the house, and I guess that's why we didn't even mention the two other kids because they're off with grandma, and we see them
yes,
like briefly on the iPad or whatever. So I'm assuming that like because there's construction that that's why they sent them away or like good timing if anything, but it felt like one
right.
of those conveniences. Um what I wish that we had, because like the whole point of like what's going on here is like, oh, okay, come out to the backyard. Like after we see all like the AI ghost faces and all that, it's like come out to the backyard. It's like it goes back to where it starts with someone tied up in the chair out back. And I kind of wish that there was a swimming pool. And here's the reason why. So we get through like through this convoluted monologue. What is happening here is that Jessica has no plan on killing Tatum. The I guess like what she's trying to do is kill Sydney in front of Tatum to I guess like start the cycle of trauma over again. So that I didn't pick up until like the second watch through because
Oh, I didn't pick that up.
I was just so like befuddled with all of the nonsense that I just
Mm-hmm.
like couldn't like pick
Yeah,
up on what was happening. But yeah, so that's the plan. So if that's the plan, she's going to kill Sydney in front of Tatum and let Tatum like go on to become the next like line of like trauma survivors and yada yada yada.
victim. Yeah.
What is the plan for the killers? Like are they going to just like surrender to the police? Are they going to murder each other as like a suicide pact, or are they going to disappear and just be on the lam for the rest of their lives? Like it's just like none of
And
that
just
was
watch her from afar,
yeah,
just
none of
knowing
that
she's a
was like
victim.
yeah, they don't bother to like let us know what they're doing. So it just feels like the motivation of these people makes no sense to me. Like the movie doesn't even try to allow us to understand what their ultimate goal is or what they're trying to do or why they want any of this. Um, but I feel like it's there's no like ultimatum. Maybe there is and I missed it, but if they're just planning to kill Sydney, but they've both got like knives at Tatum's throat, but they don't want to kill her, then why are they like why should we as an audience feel any sort of tension in this moment because it's Sydney is the one that they want to kill unless they were to say like this is what we want to do and we're going to kill her if you try to intervene. We don't want to kill her, so you'll do what we say. Like there was none of that as far as I can remember. But what would have been really great rather than have like Mark, because they pull him out and we find out that he's still alive, and then he miraculously has this knife in his pocket and he starts like cutting Tatum's like tape or whatever on her legs to allow her to get out of that. Let's not include that at all. Like Mark can be dragged out and he can be alive. Let's say there's a swimming pool behind them and like really capture the imagery of the first movie. And
Hmm.
when Sydney goes to shoot Marco in the head, dead, he can fall backwards and like somehow like pull Tatum down with him, fall into the pool. So she's now tied up in a chair in this pool, drowning, and Marco's body is like at the bottom of it. And now Sydney is forced to contend with Jessica and she's not able to save Tatum at this point. So now
Mm.
we've got some tension. Now we've got some suspense going. And then
Yeah.
Tatum can like, if Marco fell in the pool and he's got his knife, she can like shimmy over and like get herself out. But like
Yeah.
imagine like just even adding like a subtle nuance like that to the finale, how much more impactful all of that would be rather than just having it be this boring thing where okay, Tatum's fine because the dad cut her loose and now we're going to go into the garage and it's just going to be this face off with crazy old Jessica. um so I just feel like it's I don't want to say that, like Kevin Williamson did a bad job with, his role as a director or even like a writer on all this. Like, I have no idea what he had to contend with in terms of this. Like, it sounds like the Spyglass as a studio is, might be kind of difficult to work with. I know that Kevin has had like a lot of PTSD from working with Miramax in the past. So who knows what he was up against. But I do know that like if this was Wes Craven directing, like he would have found ways to implement those things. What even if it wasn't like a swimming pool and like Tatum like potentially drowning and that, but he would find ways to have there be suspense. And I just feel like there's not a lot of suspense in this climax at all when there like very well could be. It just sort of like it feels like we're going through the motions, we're just biding our time, we're doing the exact same thing that we've always done with every scenario. You just know that
Yeah.
it's going to end the same way it does with Sydney and then like Tatum, possibly Tatum as well, like shooting the shit out of Jessica, which is what they do in like CGI glory. Um,
Yeah. Initially I thought you were gonna say like I don't did you ever see the movie Swim Fan? Have you covered that on the pod?
no, no, I
No?
haven't.
Swim Fan, that's a good movie. So I guess I don't know if I should say anything else. Well, no, yeah, well, no, there's a scene similar where like
Yeah,
someone is in a pool and they're tied up,
yeah,
and so, but I like the way that you said it because the way you're saying it, it's like more of like Marco being shot in the head and pulling her in by accident, like as he's
yeah.
falling into the pool. I like that because then it's that'd be so cool and that would add a lot of tension and
And
kind of
it's
it would catch the other killer off guard too because the other killer didn't expect that. So.
yeah.
I think that's a good idea. I love the pool idea. And what was the other thing I was going to say? I can't remember. Okay.
I mean, I will say that like again, like with the choreography of like the fighting, like I love all the Sydney and Jessica stuff. Like
Hmm.
that's really fun. It's brutal with like the
Yes.
screwdriver and
The
all that
brick.
stuff.
Yes.
They do a really good job. I love that Jessica's like, because I guess she's like this Pilates queen or whatever. She's like hanging up on the roof or like the ceiling of the rafters or whatever, and sinking down almost like Michael Myers in H2O. that we just sort of
Hmm.
see like through the plastic sheets in the
Oh
background.
yes, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Just dropping
Hmm.
down. Yep, I liked that. But I forget though, like, did we discuss this? Like, so she checked herself into a mental hospital because she was so upset that like that Sydney, who's her hero, her victim, but like her hero in her mind, she decided
Hmm.
to not go to. So Anna Camp hears about these murders happening, a Ghostface killer in New York City, and she's like, oh my God, I wonder if Sydney went to it. She finds out Sydney stayed home and didn't go to it, so she was driven mad by that. She was like, oh my God, I can't believe she didn't go. She didn't go to
Hmm.
New York, even though I myself don't live in New York. I'm not even part of that, so I'm only knowing of
Yeah.
this through an article or something. So then she's like, "Oh, whoa!" That spiraled her so out of control that she like lost her mind. And then she went to a mental hospital. She met a guy who was there, Carl, for killing three women, and
Hmm.
she felt safe enough to get close to him. And then she met the manager there, and he was a weird guy named Marco.
The
She
manager.
and the manager of the mental institute.
Yeah.
And for some reason he said, "You know what? I'm gonna join you two. I'm gonna like
Yeah.
let's all do this together."
And also like the irony that like she murdered her abusive husband and then she met someone who is like also like a murderer of women and then decided to team up with him. Like it just like
Yeah,
make it make sense. So it's just like
exactly.
again, it's just like completely underbaked. I heard a rumor, I don't know what it is, that like everything to do with like the killer scheme and the killer reveal and all that was Guy Busick and everything else
Of course.
is Kevin Williamson. Um, because I mean, and that would make sense to me. Like I choose to believe the best in Kevin Williamson.
Yes, me too.
Where I can. I don't think that he would write a thing that bad. And maybe it sounds like this was a thing where Guy Busick was like contractually like part of this movie and they couldn't change certain things or they didn't want to. I don't know. But it's like there's nothing worse than like coming into a situation where you're having to rewrite something and you're having to like accommodate a really bad idea as it is and sort of find a way
Mhm.
to make that work because like if a script is going to work 100% of the script needs to work, um which is why I'm saying like this is why I would have preferred if Stu was the killer and yet even if it was like Leslie Mocker or whatever and like the whole Stu thing was a ruse. But I mean there's so much fun they could have done like just like kind of going down this investigation path like they were talking about. I mean I don't think that there would be time to do this because they would have had to fly all the way back to Woodsboro, but I just like see this like Psycho 2 moment of them like excavating Stu's coffin and just opening it up and finding like no body inside or something
Yeah.
fun like that for just like the mystery of it all. But for it to be this like this trio, this ragtag bunch of goons and their ridiculous plot because she's a fan of Out of Darkness, like it just it
Yeah,
it doesn't work. Yeah.
she was abused, horrible. Then she read Out of Darkness, and it inspired her to like no other. And she was like, "Oh my God, this is the best book I've ever read." Um,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna kill my husband. And then she kills her husband, and then she hears of an attack in New York City that Sydney chose not to go to anymore, and she was just
Hmm.
like, "Oh, well, I need to lose my mind."
Yeah.
Um,
Adrian is saying that Kevin Williamson admitted Busick's idea was the AI. So make of
okay.
that what you will. Brian James, Zach is right. I think Scream 8 could be about Stu actually return. I didn't say that. Stu actually returned now is the only plus. It's been developed now. That could be that he could be alive. I mean, I think at this point, this was the opportunity where they could have had him. I don't think that we would now,
No, I think
especially with all this like his house burning down and all that. Like they had their opportunity and they blew it.
in Scream 8, it's going to be Principal Himbree's stepson or biological son
Yeah.
that was like a little kid in Scream and
Yeah.
then grew up and finally can take revenge.
Yeah. I always thought like I mentioned this before. I think I mentioned on the Scream 6 one that it would have been cool if like the killer in 6 was Gail's like an old colleague of Gail's that ended up covering the Sharon Stone stalker rather than the Woodsboro murders because she mentions in the movie
Mm.
how she should be covering the Stone stalker, but who knew? And it's sort of like that just by the very nature of like getting called to different assignments because he thought that that was going to be the big one and like missed out on the Woodsboro thing that she ended up getting the career that she had and he missed out on it. So it was like kind of his opportunity to get revenge and then use Sam as sort of like this vessel to in order to do it. But
Hmm.
uh but oh
What did
well, you know.
what did that phrase mean, by the way? But who knew? Like, who knew that she had a stalker? Like, what did Gail mean by that
But
when she
who
says
knew?
that?
I should have so she says Dewey says you shouldn't be here. I know I should be in New York covering the Sharon Stone stalker, but who knew? I think she just means like who knew there would be like all these murders, you know?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I love it. I wonder what she meant by that. Yeah. Well, who
Yeah.
knew? I love Gail.
Um,
Oh, love her. That was so good.
Adrian and Jessica better than the Scream 6 killers? Question mark. I'm conflicted. It's a maybe. Quinn cuts a certain aesthetic jib, I guess. Um, I
I
don't know.
prefer
Like
this. I prefer this over Scream 6. I will say that with confidence. I think it was like it's stupid, but I don't like Dermot Mulroney, and I don't like Ethan Embry. I don't like the kid. I don't like that family in Scream
Ethan is
6.
the character. Ethan Embry is the actor in this movie.
Oh, then
Yeah.
Ethan character. Sorry.
Ethan character.
Ethan in Scream 6.
Detective Bailey, Ethan, and Quinn, who we still
Yeah.
don't know what their real names are. But
Yeah. Yeah,
the
I prefer this
I
one.
don't know. I don't know. Like if I get there, I haven't gotten there yet because I just like as messy as six is, like I feel like at least there's more of a shred of logic to it. Whereas
Hmm.
this, like everything that we're just talking about, like the three of these people coming together and like what the scheme is, like it feels so shoddy to me. Like I don't know if I could in good conscience say that this is better than the Scream Six killers or just like
Or what
collectively.
you enjoy more? What do you enjoy? Which did you enjoy watching more?
I
Or
well, I mean, the thing is, it's hard to like separate it because like I think that the arena of like the decrepit theater in Scream Six is really exciting. Like it's more exciting than this like backyard and like garage, like unfinished garage and all that. Um, there
yeah, I
like
just
like
I
everything about it
mhm.
just like it feels more cinematic in that movie, whereas like this just like it's just even the character, like the one thing that will say for these two that I liked was sort of like their back and forth bickering and like him interrupting her and she'd be like, Jesus, you made me forget. Like, I
Yeah.
lost my line. And like,
And he
that
still
was
says like,
cute.
"Well," he,
Yeah.
he's such a okay.
Yeah.
Um and I feel
Sorry,
like
it's me.
and I feel like once exactly, and
Yeah.
I feel like once the killer reveal happened in this movie, it didn't overstay its welcome.
Hmm.
I feel like Scream 6, the whole like I loved the theater location, but I feel like that whole thing dragged for me. It was such a like it
It goes
overstayed its
on. Yeah.
welcome. It's way too long. Like you have to have the whole first reveal, and then like Sam and Tara run up to the
Yeah.
second floor, then that thing all happens, then they get knocked out, and then we have to wait for Sam to pretend that she's Ghostface, and then like and then Kirby comes back to life.
You know
It went
what's
too long.
you know what's so funny is that in five, there was apparently way more dialogue for the killers and all that. And when Nev came onto the set and like saw the script and all that, she's like, "Oh, you guys are going to be cutting all of this." And they're like, "Well, no, 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 you will. Like, you know, trust me." They recorded all these like there every bit that was in the script,
Mhm.
but she said we're going to cut that. Like they speak to that on the commentary that Nev knew that none of that stuff they were going to use, and it's funny that like maybe she even influenced them to cut it because they knew like in the editing process like okay we should get rid of all this, but now that Nev was not on Scream 6 and they had the script and they didn't have someone like a voice of reason on the production to be like, you guys
Yeah,
need to cut this, you guys need to cut all of that, and
cut
that's why
this
the
shit.
six like
Hmm.
goes on so long.
It's there's a lot they needed to cut out. Yeah, so
Hmm.
they needed her voice
This,
there.
yeah, I mean, this one is very rushed. Like that's the thing. It's just like the pacing is so quick in this movie, but then it just like gets to this point and it feels so rushed. And I needed more. And I don't think that there was, and based on like what we were given from them, I don't think that there was anything more to kind of uh get out of the like whatever their plan was and all of this. Like even the throwaway, like, but think about your son. sort of thing, and it's just like, oh, he's gone now, like sort of like that, how that
Yeah,
was
he
just
was too
kind of
much like his
tossed away.
father. Like that's a horrible thing to
And
say.
well, I mean, be that as it may, of like the characters, I'm just like even thinking of like Nev looked
Ouch.
awkward in this scene, just sort of like playing off of them. Like it's just like she didn't know how to like it's just like this is terrible dialogue. It's like a terrible
Hmm.
scheme. We're just going to let it happen. And Anna Camp is like doing the best she can with this material, but it's just like how else do you play this? Like it's like
Hmm.
so yeah, like the Dermot Mulroney of Six is like, you know, way too cartoonish and over the top. He was directed to play it that way, but I still like I get more, and it's I don't get anything out of that bit other than I like the theater, but I think I get more out of it than I do here. So at least for now, like these might be the worst killers for me.
I think because in my mind they're both so ridiculous
Hmm.
of motivations and reveals. Which one did we move along with faster? Which one got did we wrap it up and like okay? Which one like
That's
okay,
fair. Yeah.
hate it, so stupid. What a dumb reveal. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
uh
fair. Um, but then yeah, we get the oh Tatum's like I'm Sydney fucking Prescott's daughter.
Oh, that didn't have a nice ring to it, right?
No, it's
I'm
just too many
Sydney,
words.
and she said it too slow. I'm Sydney fucking Prescott's daughter. It's just like
Yeah,
it was too slow, and like
too
I'm like, oh,
much.
she
Yeah,
thought she ate with that, but
yeah.
she didn't.
She gonna be like, I'm Tatum fucking Evans.
Her mom's
I
like,
am my mother's daughter.
we'll
Fuck
help you.
it.
You're right. Fuck, dude, we'll
Yeah,
help you work on that, honey. We'll give you a good like tagline or
yeah, yeah. But okay, so epilogue. Love this scene, except for the Chad and Mindy of it all, but love everything that's going on here. I love the Gale. Like there's like suddenly it was that same thing again where just like I felt like the weight of emotions between them and just like kind of this callback to, you know, earlier from the TV station where she sort of said like when she was talking about Tatum Rose McGowan just being like the last friend that she ever trusted, which was a lie because like clearly like Randy, Dewey,
yeah,
you know, but it was
Hallie.
like but it was more of a dig at Gail, and then for her to kind of like
Yeah.
them to have this moment, and she'd be like, "I do trust you," and I don't know, it was just it was a really nice thing, and then even the Sydney and Tatum of just like this is like you're she wasn't a victim, like she was strong and loyal and et cetera and so forth, and just like the three of them kind of. I mean, I wish that it was like done more cinematically than just like this like closing shot of like that. But like the three of them walking away and it just again like a really nice mature scene that's like undercut by the Chad and Mindy of like, oh, we've lost so much blood. Okay, let's like, you know,
Oh,
do this whole
I
thing. And then
know.
did you obviously you stuck around for like the mid credits?
Wait, is that the mid credits that we're talking about right now? When like her and Chad like try to do it when she's terrible at it?
She's like she keeps messing up
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And
yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny. I thought that was kind of like, I was glad that she kept messing up because she kept trying to. I didn't like that she was trying to steal that from Gail,
Hmm.
and because I'm like, no, you're her camera people. Like you should not be
Yeah.
doing that. That's actually so unprofessional, and it pissed me off. So I was glad that she ended up being really bad at it. And plus, I
Yeah.
just don't like her, so I don't like her.
Raven FX is saying the epilogue made the movie worth it to me. I think
Yes.
the epilogue definitely like undid the damage of like that last act.
Oh, the
I
damage was
think.
done.
Yeah, the damage
Uh,
has been done.
the damage was done. But
Hmm.
no, I think overall I really enjoyed this movie. I think I had a lot of fun with it. Like the second
Yeah.
time watch. I look forward to going and seeing it again. Because it did have some set pieces. It had a nice pace, pretty good pace to it. And
Yeah.
it wasn't perfect at all. It was very flawed, but it didn't overstay its welcome. And so it's rewatchable to
Yeah.
me.
It's a flawed movie. But I think that, you know, even after the first watch where I was like really angry, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like I was just like
Hmm.
the, a movie like Scream 6 after I got out of that, I was just like, I don't even want to like deal with this right now because it just like was just a whole miserable thing and it felt like, you know, trying to like make excuses for like, okay, this is what I liked about it here. But, you know, I'm not going to say that the pros outweigh the cons. I don't really know that yet with this movie. I have to sit with it for more time, but it's not the piece of garbage that, you know, so many people are making it out to be. Like that's the thing.
I
It's just like you
know.
don't like it. Whatever, you can say you don't like it, but it's people are like almost like over hating it in a
Yeah,
certain
and I
way.
think it's
And
because they only saw it once. I'm like, you have to see it again. That's what it is.
it definitely like because it's the reverse Scream 4. It's got like really great Sydney, but really bad killers and killer reveals. Whereas like Scream 4 is like bad Sydney, great killers.
Yeah.
So it's like once you reconcile with the fact that it's just like it's not the killers, it's not the
Mhm.
motive, but everything else about it is really good. I think it'll really help you get through it. But I mean, like, form your own opinion. I'm not like a champion for this movie either way. Like I still, you know, prefer like it'll always be the first three for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I overall I'm happy. I'm happy that I liked this better than five and six. I think that so many things were improved upon that I felt needed to be improved upon from those movies. And then there were a lot of things that weren't improved upon, and in some ways they did them worse. But it's
Hmm.
to me, like I always think the mystery and the killers and all that is like that's my favorite part. So that's why like, I probably prefer like Scream 4 over this. But
Yeah.
in terms of like a Sidney Prescott and the Gale and just the emotional weight of everything. Is it perfect? No, but it's something that has been lacking for a very long time in this franchise.
Yeah. I agree. I'm excited to see what they do next with it because they made so much money. So,
It's crazy,
you know.
yeah. And it's
Oh,
got like, what's that?
the score. That's what I was gonna say. Because someone in the
Mm,
chat asked what we thought about the score. I really like the score. I'm glad that Marco was back on it,
mm,
Beltrami. And it added like the way that Williamson shot a lot of the establishing shots of the house. I loved like with the tree, with like the vine, the branches. It looked very like spooky fall movie, and with the
mm,
music and everything, it added to that spooky
yeah.
vibe, which I loved. But yeah, excited
Yeah.
to see what they do in eight.
It's a nice return to form with because like five and six. I liked the score to five. Like I thought that like New Horizons piece, which is like Sam and Tara's theme, like it's a really beautiful piece of music. In six, I wasn't crazy about the score, but like I think that this is I don't think it reaches the heights. Like it's not as dramatic as like Marco's score from one to three, but it's certainly better than what the score was for Scream 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Well,
think
there was
that.
such a sadness to the score of the first movie. I feel like there was such
Mhm.
because it really had to do a lot with Sydney's trauma of losing her mother the year pre, and
Yeah.
the town's trauma of having such a brutal murder in that town. So like you heard those like oh like
Hmm.
that kind of like echoey, like almost like ghostly vibe of
Yeah.
music in the first one, which I love. Makes me want to watch it again right now.
Hmm.
Um,
No,
but yeah,
absolutely.
and
And I
this
and
one was
I
much more like dun 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 dun, like much more
yeah.
action.
I can't wait for I don't know when it'll be like released to buy.
Hmm.
But I will for sure be picking it up because I have like the box sets that is like the Scrapes 1 to 4 scores.
Hmm.
And I have like digital versions of five and six, but like it would be nice to get this one at least on vinyl. But yeah, the only other thing I was going to say is that currently on Rotten Tomatoes, this has I think it was like 35% or something, but the audience score is 78%. So it's like
Mm.
I know a lot of people online are like really like vitriolic about this, but like it seems like might be a case of just like some really loud voices, but more people
Yeah.
really like it. And then in terms of the reviews, a lot of people have been, kind of had an agenda with it that has been
Mm.
pointed out, where it's just like
Of
you read every
course.
bad review and it sort of like talks about the whole situation.
Mhm.
So
Well, I told you someone online told me that they were like good people are boycotting this movie, and I was like, oh my God, stop virtue signaling like that you're like holier than thou because you're boycotting a
yeah,
movie. Like, please get over yourself.
yeah. I don't. It's cinema again. Like it's just like. movies aren't political. They can
Mm.
be. It depends on like what the is put in there by the creator. But at the end of the day, like what you take out of a movie politically is a reflection of yourself. And what it is it's art. Actually, there was a video that I think I posted on Instagram in my stories of Sarah Michelle Gellar talking about it might have been like for Scream 2 or I Know What You Did Last Summer, but she was saying it was I Know What You Did Last Summer during a Scream 2 press thing. And they were asking her about, like the blood and the violence in the movies. And she was saying, like, like we don't make these movies for political messages, like they're for
Hmm.
entertainment. And we shot the movie, like yada yada yada. So it's like I love like there's so many celebrities that are coming forward now that are just being like, politics have interfered with the entertainment industry far too much. Like it's destroying the art. Ethan Hawke, Michelle Yeoh, Neil Patrick Harris, Gene Simmons was one. It's just like we don't talk about politics. Like politics is not going to influence the entertainment value of what we're doing. So it's so refreshing. Like I respect that like there are people who have like a platform and they use that platform to talk about issues, but like keep that out of movies. Keep that
Yes.
away from like let movies be movies. Let people interpret movies the way they do. And don't put like some kind of like
Messaging.
like just to try to say that like if you go see this movie and you like this movie that you're a bad person. Like that makes
Yeah.
you very narrow-minded and shallow. And I think that like you should probably maybe reflect on yourself if that's what you're doing and thinking that, other people are evil or bad for like the art that they like, because that's
Yeah,
just
because it's saying like
ridiculous.
if you were a good person, you would do what we're doing because we're avoiding it. We're boycotting it. So if you're a good person, you would do the same thing.
Or
And
like
that's just so gross.
yeah, the extremely narcissistic saying of like, like I'm going to be on the right side of history. And it's just like, okay, so you're not really concerned about the issue at hand. You're concerned about the optics
And
of
how you
how
come
you
across.
come across. Yeah,
That's what a lot of it is. A
yeah.
lot of it is. But we don't
Yeah.
have to
So
get
I mean,
into all
if you're
that.
if you're listening to if you've gotten this far into the episode and you're hearing this message and you can be like, well, fuck you, you're a piece of
Yeah.
shit or whatever, or if you've like, like want a little bit more insight, just like and we're not talking about Scream at this point. We're just talking about real world things. Like,
Yeah.
don't let stuff like that affect your ability to enjoy art and entertainment. Don't be influenced by things like have your own opinion. Maybe you thought this movie was shit, and that's totally fine. There are things about this movie that I think are shit.
Hmm.
I'm just being realistic about what it is, but my enjoyment of the things that are working are not, they don't make me a bad person. They don't make you a bad person. So everyone like needs like there's so much divisiveness right now. Like, don't contribute to it. Just like be copacetic. That's the word of today. Be
That is the
copacetic with
word.
people. Anyway, we should get to the cherry picker.
It's not like we kill people on purpose.
All right, so last week we covered It, Chapter 1, which was
Hmm.
a Patreon's Choice episode. I nominated Elvin Marsh, Bev's dad. You nominated Norbert Keane, the pharmacist.
Oh yeah.
Across Patreon, Instagram, YouTube, the final tally was 528 for Elvin Marsh versus 41 for Norbert Keane.
Versus 41. That's so
Yeah.
funny. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, like you had like a legitimate like pedophile that you
Yeah.
were that you were putting up there. I just had a suggested one. So
It's
yours definitely
true.
deserved to
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that there was probably some like more unscrupulous characters that might have given old Elvin a run for his money, but you stuck fast and true to your pharmacist character.
sure.
Um, but let's see what people had to say about these two goons in It, Chapter 1. All right, so Strifen 19. Anyone who thinks Bev's father doesn't need to die the most needs to have their head examined. You need to have your head examined. Blue Box. Honestly, all the adults are scarier than Pennywise. Elvin is one of, if not the worst. It's so true. Like the Pennywise is just like pales in comparison, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Matt Apple. Elvin for me, although I still think Mr. Keen needs his hard drive checking. Grant Dempsey, Elvin, of course, and the pharmacist. Spidey fan, both. Both. I guess the abuser deserves it more than the one who flirted with a preteen.
Yeah.
I need a shower after saying that. And Adrian, Norbert, too similar to that shitty Eddie Murphy movie, That Ain't It. Norbert, I never saw that.
Norbert.
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 Um, okay, I want to nominate. I haven't even. I don't know this character's name. We didn't even really talk about him, but it is the drama teacher,
Huh.
uh, who's like another pointless character. Like he's just sort of like presented as a red herring, and the last time we see him is when Sydney's looking at the crowd of people. Um, but he's an asshole. This is the way that he speaks to his students.
Yeah.
Uh, very abusive. He's more concerned about the play when McKenna Grace, he's like, we don't even have an understudy for her.
I
Um,
know.
so I think just for the fact that like he's like he was created to be put in a movie like this and die. Um,
And he didn't die. He should have died.
exactly. And I still George Willis is the name, apparently.
That's it. His character's name is?
George Willis, the drama
Oh.
teacher. I realize that I missed the cherry on top. We will do that right after.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's okay. I would have to say that I'm gonna nominate um shoot, what's her character's name? Jessica.
Jessica.
Yeah, Anna Camp, she killed her own son for such a weak motive. Like, you killed your own son mainly because you're on a killing spree because you're so upset with your supposed heroine. Like, you have nothing else going on in your life. Like, why don't you focus on being a mother before you're upset over some lady who you look up to? I get it. We all have
Hmm.
heroes. We all have heroes, but like, come on, we have other things to focus on. So I think
Yeah,
that she needs to. And plus, she's just a psychotic killer. So I think Jessica is
yeah.
my
It's a pretty shitty thing to do. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, cherry on top then. I mean, who else is it gonna be?
I know. I think it has to be Carl.
Absolutely,
I
Carl
think he stood out in the
Gibbs.
movie. I think he was the best actor.
Yeah.
And I think that Oscars might be up for him. No,
Oscar bells are ringing, maybe?
I think I might hear Oscar
Yeah.
noms.
Yeah.
No, I think I think it has to be Sydney.
It is
Oh,
Sydney Mother effing Prescott, for all the reasons, just keep give her more cherry on tops if we could.
all the
Uh,
cherries.
but yes, so your options are either drama teacher George Willis or Jessica Bowden is the character's name.
Bestie
And
Jessie.
yeah, little coffee shop with her big fleecy purple sweater.
And her
Or is
aggressive
it
French
pink? It was
tips.
like
Yeah,
magenta.
she
Yeah.
had this like fuchsia magenta top with like, these huge like wide like acrylic like French tips. Like
Yeah.
I was like that's saying killer if
Yeah.
nothing else does.
Absolutely. So vote your heart, vote your conscience. You can vote on Patreon. You head over there and just subscribe as a free member. You'll get a extra vote if you want to double up on or triple up depending on your preferred person to die. You can also head over to Instagram to vote there. That is at the Cherry Picker Pod. So make sure you're following. And also on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed if you prefer to listen to this episode. If you are watching it, the RSS feed link is in the descriptions down below. Many ways to watch this. Tim, where can they find you on social media?
You can see me. You can see me on
Yeah.
Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at Tim McKay Beauty. And that's it.
And you can find me on my main YouTube channel, Zack Cherry, Zack space Cherry, Zack space Cherry. I'm gonna do
Oh.
a full plot breakdown and the spoiler review of this. If you wanted more besides this episode, also find me on Instagram at Retro Bitch Face and also Letterboxd at Retro Bitch Face and Twitter at ZackCherry8. You remember what we're doing next week? It's okay, we haven't talked about it in a while, but it's
Oh,
Friday the
the
13th
13th
part.
part,
It's another part 7.
the seven,
Yeah,
seven
the new blood.
for because wait, is it actually we have another Friday the 13th. We have
We've
March
got another
13th.
we've got a Friday the
So
13th coming
that'll
up.
so
The
woohoo.
episode will be recorded on a Monday and released on a Tuesday, but it's still the week of Friday the
So
13th.
so some truth here. I think it'll be my first time ever watching this movie.
Oh, wow. Well,
Truth be told.
I can guarantee you that you will not have to watch anything before it because continuity does not matter.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will be right back.